Hey, good morning, Misfits. It is April 10th, 2020. It is Friday. This is our morning wake-up call. This is episode 415. Yes, 415. And so it's an exciting day. We're going to have some good conversation. We're going to see what joys we can bring in the world, and we'll just have a good time today. Tomorrow's going to be a fun day as well. It's funny, every time Les had called me yesterday, or I talked to Les, and I love how he answers the phone, right? This is how you can set the mood. He goes, "There's my champion." Now, he may not, I guess if somebody's got Les's phone, right, there's probably not too many, maybe there is, but there's probably not too many robocalls going to Les's phone, probably. But yeah, and his beautiful daughter, who absolutely helps guide and direct the connections that he has, Ona, she's just an amazing soul. But just speaking with him, because he asked yesterday, he said, so who are the souls on the call? Who's this audience, this amazing audience that's following you? I mean, just talk about the way language, right? I guess if you're an artist and you look at art, you see it differently. If you're a mechanic and you look at a car, or you're a car buff, or you're an antique collector, or you're something, you have a specialty, and you come across that specialty, that thing that you're an expert in, that you love, it shows up a lot different. So me loving language, and it was just fun having a conversation with him. So good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Want to invite you to send out your 3 messages of joy, of gratitude, of love, of peace to folks you know. Let me check the chats here. Some things being said. Yes, Ona is good. Good morning. I'm just checking the chats. Yes, Ona, she's a blast. Good morning, London. Great to have you in the house. We got a couple of people from the great continent over there. Appreciate you all taking some of your afternoon to be with us. There's Maggie T, Australia down under in the house. So here's a question for you today. What if? How would you fill in the rest of that blank? What if? What if today was the day? What if today you had something happen to you? Somebody calls you and says, "Hey, what if I could do fill in the blank for you?" What would happen? See, there's a lot of people right now who are curious, quite curious, as to how Les has shown up on my call. And it has a little to do with me, but it has more to do with you. It has more to do with you. It has more to do with the story. So I want you to, does that make sense? Does that sink in? Because I need you to hear that. Has very little to do with me, has a lot to do with the story. There's a lot of people who ask Les to jump on a call or a podcast or do an interview. But it's the story behind it. It's the story people hear about you guys and what's happening in your life. At some point, there's usually a focal point in most people's life. There's usually a common denominator. And the what if is, the reason the what if got answered for me, what if Les Brown came on your call? Would that be okay? The answer is yes. But then the question is why? Somebody of influence with Les talked about us, experienced us. Are you giving people in the world, are you giving your audience a chance to experience you at your performance? See, if somebody goes to Leo to ask him for dance lessons, they're going to look at his videos. What's the resume they look at? They're going to come to a session and they're going to see him dance and they're going to find out, do they sync in time and space? Do they ravel with him in time and space? Does it make sense? Is he of an energy that they would like to be around, that they would like to get some of? So when people hang around you, what's the resume that they're getting? And there's Nano. Good morning, Nano. Congratulations, brother. Your link you sent out, over 300 people have signed up for it. So I'd encourage everybody to get here because there's a couple more than 500 on the list now. So it's going to be awesome. Thank you. So I just want to publicly announce that Nano's done amazing for me, and I appreciate him. And he's been a huge supporter, a huge influencer, and just a darn good teacher and student. So thanks, Nano. Love you, brother. And of course, tomorrow when we have a conversation, I'm going to let, because I did talk to Les about you and let him know why the audience is a particular psychographic that shows up here. And I told him that a young man has influenced a lot of these individuals. And so anyway, so yeah, we talked. Let's just put it this way. You were on our tongues between Les Brown and me, and I appreciate you. So that's the other thing, recognition. What if Nano brings 300 plus folks to the conference? What if? See, almost a year ago, that wouldn't have happened. Y'all follow how this stuff works out? Y'all see how this stuff works out? You're getting the behind the scenes that most people wouldn't talk to you about because they want to say, I did it all. I had a part in it, but the resume that shows up is that I've got some pretty amazing friends who care enough to share a story that's not theirs to help other people have more. You realize that's the business we're in, building other people. So think about your yesterday, whether it be yesterday, this whole week. How many times, if you had to put a little checkbox, did you build somebody? Did you just build them because you could? Did you build them because you care? You know what the funniest thing is? And this, now I haven't, listen, here's behind the scenes. You know, we're pretty real and raw here. You know what the thing that just, I haven't got over yet, I haven't worked myself through, is that when I send out the emails, that because y'all have signed up to this, most of you have gone through the registration page and put your email in to get onto this call. So those emails go over into my email list, and I send you out messages, and you're part of the Daily Awakening crew. I send out messages, and people are unsubscribing. You're absolutely allowed to unsubscribe, but they're doing it 3 and 4 times since the beginning of the year. Subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe, unsubscribe. And I recognize their names. It's just a curious lot. And so I get perplexed about it for about, I don't know, 5 minutes. But I find it just, again, Jim Rohn would say, don't sign up for that class. I haven't attended the class, but I've been signing up for it when it happens, right? So there's going to be people in your days that come for you. They say they want to be a part of you, but then when you send them, when you share you with them, they're like, I don't want that. I don't know how I got this. The funniest thing is when some people call it a spam. Is this translating? Meaning that they came, they sit through the, it's not like they don't know me. They sit through the conversations. Some even ask questions. And then when the email goes out, they mark it spam or they unsubscribe. The thing that hits me is I feel like I let them down. What did I do? This again, this is me behind the scenes. What did I do wrong? So I go, on the last call, did I say something wrong? Did I not answer a question? Did I do this, that, or the other? And then, of course, when I sit quietly and go, okay, why am I so good at building an email list? It comes across that they're just people that like to be in flow. I'm sharing this with you because at any level, there's going to be people who come in, who support, and there's going to be people who say they're there, and then when they quote, I don't even know if it's a test, but when you share more of you, they're like, I don't want any of you. But wait a minute, yesterday you did. Anybody go through that? Anybody ever feel that? It may not be an email list for you, but it may be something. So I say that, I'm just saying that because it's black and white. It's black and white when it shows up in numbers, when you send out X number of thousands of emails and you see people, again, spam and unsubscribing, like spam, I never made up your email address. So sometimes spam in our world, in our business world, is people who come sign up and then never do anything, or say they're going to sign up and never do anything. And listen, nobody ever felt better by somebody saying to them, well, you just can't think about that. Nobody ever felt better. Well, just stop thinking about that. Great. Now what am I going to think about? Now what am I going to stop thinking about? So I just wanted to share that with you because that's happened in the last 48 hours. And so what do? I send out messages. I send out text messages. You can only write what Joe Dispenza say. We're only subjective to the information based upon the experience we're having. We're only subjective to the information, to information based on the experience we're having. So if I'm thinking, how could these names I recognize, unsubscribe? Guess what I'm going to see? Every place else I look, what am I going to see? Am I going to see joy, beauty, bounty in the world? Am I going to see the most amazing day ever? I'm either going to choose misery or joy. And when in that state, that crosses over, that teeter-totters over into the misery side, all I can see is misery everywhere. So I see the unsubscribes and then I see the spams and I go look at them because I get your information. You got to fill out your name and information. It tells me your name. And it also tells me which ones you've been tagged in. So if I see that you've got like 13 tags to your name because you've responded to other stuff, I'm like, they've been in the system. They've been through the system. Because when you go to different things, be it the page or be it this or be it that, or click on specials, it tags you. It identifies you so that I can make sure I share with you the right information. So anyways, I just say that because it happens at all levels. People are fascinating at all levels. So that being said, who's got an aha and awareness? If you're new to the call, I'd love to see you drop an N in the chat, and we'd love to send you some love. Maggie T, new to the call. Yes, it is. because it's now Maggie with glasses. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the call. Great to have you here. If you could all drop some love and hearts in there for all of these folks who have just joined us. We've been doing this for since December 18th, 2018. They're calls where you get to ask some questions about what's happening to you. You hear real and raw conversations of just things that happen to all of us to help us all get through the day. And I appreciate y'all being here. If anybody happens to, and this may surprise some of you on here, but if anybody needs some prayers today, we've got some amazing prayer warriors on here. Just you can drop a P in the chat and somebody will see your name and they'll be sending some blessings and prayers for you as well. So anybody have any ahas, awarenesses, or awakenings or questions this morning?
Hey, Sean.
Yes, Brandon. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I have, I guess it's like a daily awake. I mean, it's like an awakening, but then also like a breakthrough, I guess.
Okay.
So and I actually called Rhonda and about this yesterday. But so yesterday I drive trucks and I have a tanker in the back of my truck. So I fuel the different pieces of equipment at construction sites, and so I drove past this a guy. He was a superintendent at one of the sites, and I asked him if he needed any fuel. He said yes, and so I said okay, I'm gonna circle back around. And so I go up a little bit, and I see another piece of equipment, and so I stop, and I'm servicing that, and next thing you know, I was fueling it first, but then also you have to, you know what an end dump is by any chance? An end dump?
Yep.
It's kind of similar to a dump truck, but bigger. It drives into the dirt and stuff.
Yep.
And so I was servicing that, but in order to service it in the front, you have to lift. It's two levers you have to lift, and it pushes down, and it lays out. And there's steps you can step up to do whatever you have to do in the engine part. And so I was doing that, and next thing you know, I just hear someone beeping, and so he's beeping his horn of a dozer. He's driving a dozer, and he's just beeping and beeping and beeping, and so I'm just looking. I'm like, is he okay? And so next thing you know, he just keeps coming closer and closer and closer, and so he literally runs into the piece of equipment that I was servicing, like literally. And I don't, and mind you, like, it's really weird because I felt like I was in a movie, and he was like, just like in a dead stare at me. Like he just was staring at me, and it was just like, it's kind of like it wasn't his self. And so like, I asked him, I'm like, stop. I'm like, you're moving the truck. Cause he was like so close to like, the end up was pushing back, and it was almost going to push back into my truck.
Wow.
And so I was, it was just weird because it didn't seem like it was him, because the reason why I say that is he was like, he just was staring, and I told him to stop, and he just shrugged his shoulders and just kept going. And so after the fact, he pointed to the piece of equipment, and he said, I'm going to just turn around and back to you, because he wanted to get fuel.
Right.
After I told him that I was going to come back around. And so then I fill him up, but I was a little nervous because I'm like, well, if he's gonna hit that thing, I don't want him to run me over. And so that's what I was thinking. And so I filled him up, and then I told him he was everything was good. And I asked him, I was like, are you okay? You just like ran into that, and I can't even lift it back up to close it. And then he said, yeah, I'm fine. And so I was like, okay. I was like, I had to call this in, but okay. And so he drove off. But then after I was done servicing the equipment, something just told me to just go back. And so I walked back to where he was, and I was just like, I just want to make sure you're okay, because like in my mind, I'm like, I've never seen this before in my life. But you literally like crushed it, and I cannot close this. And I have to call it in, but I want to make sure you're okay because when I was telling you to stop, you didn't stop. And so he just said, yeah, I'm perfectly fine. Let me circle back around and check on it and see what's going on. And so he circles back around and he gets out his equipment and he's walking and he's just having a regular conversation, just like any other day when I usually would have a conversation with him. And he's just trying to figure out how to necessarily get it back to close. But he bent it to the point to where it literally couldn't close. And so like one side would have closed, but the other side was so bent that it couldn't close. And so he was just, it was just like the weirdest thing. Yeah, I just thought I would share that with you guys and get your perspective on that, because even to like right now, I'm like I was nervous. I was a little like afraid, but it was more so for him. And it just the vision of it just keeps popping back in my mind, and I'm just like, well, what is this? Like, what was that? What was the message about that? What was I supposed to get from that? Because that was an experience. I was just like, wow. So.
Well, I guess one of the messages is that sometimes people go crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So.
Wow. That's
yeah.
Well, the climax is that what. So the thing that I heard was that there was just this, I don't want to say jealousy, but he assumed that you were coming back when you said you were going to turn around, and you didn't. You started working another piece of equipment. So that sometimes ego says, hey, you should have taken care of me first. I have no idea, but that's just what popped in. But all I can tell you is that be safe, or especially around heavy equipment, right?
Yeah. Monique says, what do you think it meant? To be honest with you, and to piggyback on what you said, Sean, so the site that I'm on, there's like multiple different crews in different areas. And so when I told him I was going to circle back, I literally didn't even get a chance to circle back. And so like, but I can see what you're saying about the ego. But what I think that it was for me, like it was an awakening, to be honest, because for one, I would have reacted differently than what I did. I would have been like, "Are you crazy? Like, what is wrong with you? You could have killed me." Like, I never thought about that. I thought about him.
Right.
I never thought about who, because honestly, where I was, if I stayed there, he could have crushed me. And so but I never thought about that. I literally thought about him and making sure that he was okay. And so I literally called Rhonda and I was like, Rhonda, I'm like, and she answered. And I was surprised because Rhonda doesn't answer all the time. I know she's busy. And so when I called her, I was like, Rhonda, you will not believe what just happened. And so I explained it to her, and she walked me through it and gave me some advice and told me to go back and just make sure he's fine. So I went back again, but he was on the phone. And so I went back to do what I felt was right to do, but he was on the phone, so I literally couldn't do it. So then I just left and went back a little later, and he had some other crew members trying to like fix this situation and stuff. But it was definitely awakening because later on that day during lunch, I was talking to my wife. I talk to my wife every day at lunch, and so we were talking, and she was a little frustrated with my daughter because she spends every day. Her and my hello.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, because she spends a lot of more time with my daughter because they go to school, they work together, school and work, and things like that, and so they have little battles, I guess. My daughter's 3, but my wife calls her a three. She calls her a 3 teen, and so she's so frustrated because she's like, I wasn't like that when I was a kid, so why is she like this and different things like that. And I was just, and I a part of me feels bad because, to be honest, she's that way because of me. I was the challenging kid, or the kid that got bored and wanted to do the next thing and different things like that. But I told her, I'm like, it's just it's a lesson for you because you haven't really ever experienced that as much as you do. But then also that lesson's not going to stop until you get it. And if you feel the fire, then it's going to continue to go. And so I gave her my perspective, but I gave her my perspective from my heart, and like it really, really was different than any other time I gave her a perspective after that situation. And I was really shocked myself. I had a tear coming out my eye, and I'm like, wow. I'm just like, I'm like, what the heck is going on? But it was pretty cool, and I was just explaining to her how our parents raised us and how I want to raise my daughter, and the difference is in terms of our parents telling us what to. And I got this from Monique's podcast or YouTube. I got we were taught, like, our parents always told us no, but they never explained to us or asked us why or anything like that. And so but that's how I want to raise my daughter, because I want the lines of communication to be open at all times of the day. I don't want her to hide anything from me. I hid a lot of things from my mom. I literally had to lie to her to stay out, like at times when I wanted to do so. It was a lot of rebellion versus just being upfront and just opening those lines of communication. And so it was just it was an awakening and everything. So that's what I got, Monique. That's what I thought.
So there you go. There's a pretty good answer. Probably it had very little to do with the guy, and it had everything to do with getting your heart in a place to be able to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't even know what he did, right? Because he'll get written up for damaging the piece of equipment. You got to call it in.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And the guy, that ain't his first day on a dozer, and he knows exactly how big his piece of equipment is. So he knows, yeah. There's so many things that just don't make sense, but when you tell the rest of the story, it seems to make sense.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. And I definitely, just like everybody else, I got to give you some gratitude, because without you, I would not be in the place that I'm in right now. Like your lows brought me to like your lows, and when you created this, and the impact that you've made in everybody's life on this call, it's just amazing. And my like, because I was low when I was on this call, and in the beginning I was just getting on it and taking whatever and just getting off. But now it's kind of like it's more awareness, and it's just so more meaningful. And it's all the amazing people on this call that their stories are adding to just everyone. Like, just everyone's taking something, and so that's the beauty of it. And I don't really know what I would be, or how I would be without this call, to be honest with you. I really don't.
Isn't it good we don't have to know?
Yeah, I don't want to know. I really don't want to know. So just thank you.
I think it was Hippocrates who said, let thy food be thy medicine, right? May you never know the disease you've kept yourself from. May you never know the challenge you've kept yourself from. And I'm sure there's some amazing Bible sayings as well. But may you never know the pain you've avoided.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so I thank you, because just like Leo said yesterday, you wake up at 6:30 every morning, and you don't have to at all. Like, you really don't have to. And so I really just want to thank you. I mean, it takes time from your family and just your sleep, everything. And so,
well, normally it's about 4:30 to get ready for the call. So, but
oh wow, yeah. See, man, that's sacrifice, and I definitely appreciate it, man. And I'm sure everybody on this call does. So,
well, I appreciate y'all. Yeah, Maggie.
Love you, man.
Love you too, Brandon. I appreciate you. Well, as strange as that was, right? You go, well, how does that? Wait a minute. How does a guy backing up a piece of equipment into another piece of equipment and can't close the lift? How does that translate to somebody having a good conversation with their bride about their family? Well, hindsight's 20/20, and anybody, right? Sherlock Holmes, whenever we watch the movies, he goes, well, it's very simple, Watson. Here's how they translate it. And because the brain is looking to solve a puzzle, the brain looks for two things. Will it kill me, or how fast can I recognize the pattern? I could now say the pattern is that the lift that couldn't close was the conversations that you used to have with your bride, and you never lifted her up, right? So it's easy to use language and linguistics to say, well, here's why that makes sense. But that's when you know the whole story. You can always put the pieces together. Something's been backing in, being between you and your bride and this story. And this guy comes in and he changes something that you can't close anymore. So now it has to leave it open, and you got to call it in. You call your bride, and all of a sudden you have this call with somebody you care and love about, and you have this conversation to awaken and to open, and somebody else has got to come fix that. Well, you came and fixed your own conversation with your bride. You never had that before.
Wow.
It's
That's
easy.
awesome.
It's easy once you see the rest of the story to be a good storyteller.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
that makes a lot of sense.
well, that's only because when you hear the whole story, you can write the rest of the script. I have no idea, but so hey, first of all, glad you're safe. I've been around heavy equipment, and I've been around from drag lines to dozers to, articulated front end loaders that, they're 10-yard buckets where, you put small trucks in them. So yeah, you just gotta be careful out there.
Yeah. And can I just add one more thing? So
I'm gonna
just
stop you.
So just to add to that, I mean, even after that fact, it never wavered me in a way to where it was just like, oh well, I'm gonna dwell in it or have like a bad day, because I chose joy. But then also it was just like at the snap of the finger when I talked to my wife. But then later on that night, well, around like 5-ish, 5:30, I called a financial institution to get my card note refinanced. Something that I've been wanting to do for the longest time, because my payments are pretty steep, and so and it's with the institution that I've always wanted it to be with. And so I called them, and I got approved in like a minute, like literally. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like this is, and mind you, I'll even tell you, my payments went down $200. And so I'm like, that helps every month. So I'm just like, man, somebody got to keep hitting into a piece of equipment or something, like for this to keep happening. I don't know. So yeah.
Again, change the way you look at things, and everything you look at changes. So
yeah,
and
man.
Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I would encourage you to play out the conversation with the refinance, because listen, all they did was give you a chance, and all you did was give them a chance to brag that they were able to approve somebody in 2 minutes. Change it.
Wow. Okay.
You gave them a chance. Somebody on the other end of that finance side, somebody on the other end side of your prospecting is looking to say yes. Can you imagine that? Somebody on the other side of the table who's sitting down, that you're sitting down with, is looking for a chance to say yes.
Wow.
Can you give them a chance to say yes? Can you give the finance company a chance to say, yes, you're done. Let's go. Done. Sign here. I'll send you the paperwork. Digitally sign it. Send it back. You're approved. Could you imagine the way we would, because you went to them going, man, I hope this works. You know how cool it would be if this works, what I could do with, I have no idea how much money I'm going to save, but I know it'll be less, and what I could do for my family, what I could put away, what bills I could pay down, what high interest this I could pay off. It would be so awesome if they said yes, versus sitting down with a prospect going, man, I'm going to get them. Y'all see the difference?
That makes total sense.
Can you give them a chance to say yes? They're wanting to say yes. They're not sitting down with you to say no. They want to say yes. Now, if you trigger something, suppose they came back, Brandon, they said, well, you know what? We just looked at it. We're actually going to have to raise your interest rate and your payment, because we're going to take you from a 5-year to a 4-year, and we're going to raise your payment. So we're going to raise your payment and raise your interest rate. Would you like that? We'll send you the paperwork. Hell no. No, thank you.
No.
So why do we want to raise their pain? Why do we want to shorten their shorten their payment cycle on life. And that's why prospects say no. We changed the schedule on them. Can you make it easier they want to say yes. They hope they can say yes. The challenge is when they come to sit down with you, they weren't aware of what they were hoping they could say yes to. So I'll tell you another little secret. When I sit down, Chris was using this the other day when we were talking about when I asked, so, hey, do me a favor before we get started. Can you tell me why we're here? Why are we having this conversation? You want to hear the next little secret? If you want to hear the next little secret, type an S in the chat. Okay, so watch this. If you want your conversations to go smoother, why not make them smoother? So here's the second part of that. Tell me why you're here. Well, I'd like to learn this. I'd like to learn that. Well, you're going to tell me something. What would you like me to tell you that's going to be of best service to you, right? I want them to figure out, when we say, well, you're in the ballpark. You ever hear that expression? We're in the right ballpark. Some of us aren't in the right ballpark when we start our conversations. So when I ask that question, do me a favor, remind me why we're here. I know why I'm here, but I'd love to hear why you're here. I had one guy say, he says, because I can't stand being around my wife. She nags all the time. So I just came out to get coffee. Good. Let's have some coffee. I mean, these are some crazy conversations. So here's the thing. What if they don't know? Then you ask them a question. Well, what do you want? You're going to spend some time with me. Would you like to end this now and you go back to doing whatever you're doing? Or is there enough reason for you to find out exactly why you're going to sit here and us have a conversation for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes? I have no idea. But they do know. That, geez, I don't know, is a great question. I go, I understand. I get a lot of people who are wildly successful who don't know when they're about to change their life, but they sit through it anyway. So tell me what you would want to know about this. Because that's just their pattern. That's just their pattern. The brain looks for two things. One, will it kill me? Or how fast can I recognize the pattern? And then they know they can throw you off if they say, they have no responsibility. If they go, geez, I don't know why I'm here. Are you serious? You don't know why you got in a car, you got on a train, you got on a plane, you got on a bus, you left your house, you got dressed, and you walked here, you walked in, you parked, you paid for something to get here, and you don't know why you're here? Come on. So here's the next part of that. What would you want? You ready for this? What would you want to say yes to? I'll give you a second to write that down because maybe the top of your head just blew off. What would you want to say yes to? What? Paulo Coelho said, failure ends the second you enter back into an interesting battle. You've entered into an interesting battle that will be a battle. And you will get scars and you will get your no's. And that's why people tell you go after 50 no's. You got to go after 100 no's to get your 10. you got to deal with no's. Go for no. Of course you got to go for no because you're not going for a yes. Has anybody ever asked you, or has anybody ever told you in all of the trainings you've ever been to, sit down and ask the prospect, hey, listen, as we get started, what would you feel comfortable saying yes to? Doesn't this work in all areas? Now, is it manipulating? No. Because I'm not doing what, if you want to understand neurolinguistic programming, I'm not a trained person in neurolinguistic programming, so I don't claim any of that. But I know Mark Victor Hansen taught me this, if you add NT to anything, it kind of forces a yes, doesn't it? You see the NT there? Wouldn't you want to have more fun in life? Well, yes. Wouldn't you, could you, shouldn't you do more to take care of your family? Well, yes. Shouldn't you be worried about taking care of your college tuition for your baby? Yeah, you're right. But that even could be a little forceful. Doesn't that make sense? So what if you ask the question, hey, do me a favor. What would you say yes to? What would you feel comfortable the next step looking like for you? We had somebody the other day. I had somebody the other day. They said, I'm ready to get started. Great. We'll send you a link. Do you want to get started right here, right now? Yeah. Great. Pull out your phone and we'll get you set up. That was the whole presentation because they had done their homework. You ever hear in sales, you can buy the sale back. You're buying it back. Do you ever hear that? You're buying the sale back. You've already talked too much and now you're buying it back. If they're ready to buy, let them buy. What are they looking to buy? What are you willing to say yes to today? What would make you feel comfortable? What would be something that would absolutely excite you to say yes to? We're taught for the no's. We're taught to go deal with the negatives. Well, you got to get 10 no's to get one yes. Why? Because that's how they train. Does it work? Absolutely. There's millionaires from that philosophy. But if you've got somebody who's scared, if you've got somebody who's a little timid, if you've got somebody who's not quite sure, and you come tooling in with your no suit of armor on and you say, listen, you're going to have to toughen up. You got to go get no's. You want to know who's a better salesman than all of us? How about that 2-year-old in the grocery store at the checkout line? Now you got to have some cojones when that kid's screaming to tell him no. Because it's not the no, it's the embarrassment of everybody around you, every other parent looking at you going, man, they got no control over their kids. What spoiled little kids, what bratty little kids. And then you're like, all right, just stop. Here, yes, fine. And you realize they're a 2-year-old and you just got sold. Or you bargain with them on the way in. Listen, if I get you a piece of gum, will you not have a meltdown? And you're bargaining with them. You're bargaining with a 2-year-old. Black mom's starting to take you to the bathroom. My mother used to say before we went in, my Russian mother used to say, if you embarrass me, I'll kill you. You say anything in there, oh, good Lord. Yes, Puerto Rican moms will do that. I lived in Puerto Rico for 7 years and I've witnessed it. And they will snap to and snap to attention. All I'm saying is this. Why make it so difficult for us when we're having conversations with what appear to be logical human beings who want more of what they want, less of what they don't? Why are we setting up a conversation for them to constantly look for the no versus having a dialogue, right? Not a monologue. A monologue is, I'm going to say yes, you're going to say no, and somewhere we're going to come to the middle. We're going to come to a truce in the middle for you to get started. Why does the battle even exist? Why do they feel you're not on their side? Do you ever have that conversation when you're talking to somebody and you feel they're not on your side? When Brandon got approved for the finance, there was something he's going, this is like awesome. This is amazing. They just kept asking the right questions, and I had the right answers, and this whole thing was awesome. And there's like 2 minutes. He said, yes. They said, you're reapproved. You're refinanced. You're approved for this, and we'll save you $200 a month. Would that be okay? Yes. It may have extended the payments out, right? He may have went from whatever it was and it added a few more months on. But when you're struggling, if you are struggling, or if you want to put some money away, you're okay with it going out, because the short-term gain is better than the long-term pain. And you got to do what you got to do. So right in this moment, it makes sense to be able to have some more cash. I get that. So does that make sense? Has anybody ever heard that? Ask a customer, what are you willing to say yes to? Has anybody ever heard that before? Is anybody going to try it? If you're going to try to put that, if you're going to put that into use, you're going to figure out how to use it in yours. Type a T in the chat. Because I can promise you, when people want to invite people to take a look at the good book, accept Jesus, or come up with some new expression, it really comes down to, what are you willing to say yes to? Are you willing to accept A, B, and C? Yes, I am. Awesome. It's the ones who run around with the Bible who in the backstage are screaming and hollering at everybody. But once they get on stage, they say, you should be a good Christian. You should be a good this. You should be a good that. Injected values. Come on, y'all, come up and accept him as your savior. Well, I can't accept you. How am I supposed to accept him? Yeah, but he's bigger than me. Yeah, but if you're the messenger, I need to find a better messenger. So can you be a better messenger? And what's the message you're sending? Questions, thoughts, comments, feedback?
Hey, Sean, really, really quick. Hello?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to, I forgot to add something in there. So it was like a promotion going on for the refinance. And they're going to be giving like an extra $200 for refinancing as well. So you got 200 off, but then extra $200 in the bank as well, as a bonus for refinancing with them. So and it lowered my interest rate by like 10%. So
my gosh. So think about this, folks. Think about this. That's a bank who makes money off of interest. They make money off of your money. And now they want to make less money on it, and they want to give you more money so that they can make less money. They're a bank. They're still going to make money. But so here's my question to you. When people sign up with you, what's the bonus they get? What's the promotion they get for signing up with you? Being around you. What's the experience? What's the resume? If somebody goes, you know, I just got to work with so-and-so and such and such. I'll tell you this, there's people in this world who have followed me for years, and one day just finally call me up and say, listen, it's time for me to work with you. Okay. What triggered that? I'm tired of having the results I have, and I've been watching you for 10 years, 5 years, 6 months, 8 months, 10, 15 years. And my ego wouldn't let me join with you because I kept thinking it had to be harder. So can we partner up? Sure. When do you want to do that? Now. Great. You know what the next question is? What do you do? Where are you at? What are you doing? Having fun. So all I'm saying is that build your resume. What's the result? What's the reward that people get from being with you? Here's the other thing I'd like the 89 people that are on here to do. If you send your questions that you'd like me to ask Les, if there's some questions you'd like me to send over to Les to kind of give him an idea of what you would like to get from Les Brown tomorrow, I'd love to do that. So if you send an email to, it's going to be a different one. This is my private email so that I can find it. Sean at SeanGMurphy.com. SEAN at SEANGMURPHY. If you send your questions to that email address, I'll have my assistant compile them, and we'll get those over to Les or to Ona, and we can see if we can't mold the conversation so that it serves all of you on this call. Brittany, I see your hand is up. How can we be of service, or how can you be of service to us?
I like when you put it that way. It's so interesting that you were, and it's so interesting that you were saying, what do people get when they join you, right? Because I was just talking with some of my family members, my team members, my business family last night about this. And because the approach that I take when I'm talking to prospects, it's more so like I'm their friend from the beginning, right? And I was just trying to explain to them how you need to show who you are to your prospects, so that way they feel more comfortable with you from the beginning, and then they will be more likely to become more a part of your team, because that comfortability, that wall that they have, when you're having conversation with them, you slowly bring it down. But I do have a question.
Yes.
So my question is,
remember your question. Remember your question. Hang on just a second. Thank you for letting us see you.
I was like, let me just go ahead and cut my camera on, because they be getting on me, and I keep telling people, you need to let people know who you are. And I'm like, girl, nobody gonna know who you are if you don't put your face on the camera. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it today.
So you still remember your question, right?
Yes.
Okay, hang on to it one more time. How many of you, the 89 folks that are on here, how many of your day just got better just from seeing her smile? We've all heard her voice, but how many of your days just got better because you look at that, Brittany? I want you to see that, because this is what, right? You're a student of your own message. Just by showing up, all of that bulldog and lipstick energy that you sometimes come across with.
Sean,
I'm just saying, because of your strength, because everybody's stupid, which no longer exists. You've adopted that. But I'm just saying that smile makes everybody's day happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want you to know that what you decided to step into this morning, you absolutely proved how when people get to see you, their lives change. My life is changed. So thank you.
Yay. I also realized that as I've been on this journey, and as I started to preach what it is that I practice, that with every new thing that I do, I unlock something new. And since we've been on quarantine, a lot of people have been on their Instagram Live. And I'm like, so yesterday I got on this lady's Instagram Live, and she was talking. I was just like, I'm so in love with her, because I had never seen her before. I never saw her personality. I was just like, oh my God, and I was talking to her on there, and I was like, oh my God, thank you for getting on Instagram Live. I didn't even know your personality. You're so funny. You're so cool. You're so down to earth. Thank you. I love you even more. And I was just like, Britt, you need to get on the camera, So I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna do it. Okay, so here's my question. Seeing that I am a bulldog with red lips on, right? How do I bark at people a little more softly, right? Because sometimes, so remember we were talking about before how things get misconstrued in text? This is so funny. So things get misconstrued in text. I was speaking with somebody, right? And they asked me a question in text, and I just said, no, period. And it was like, no, why are you angry? And I was like, angry? I simply just answered the question. I don't know what you're talking about. And then there was a time where I was speaking, I was just saying something in a group setting, and um, because of the way that I just said it, which was just very blunt and straightforward, people was like, "Oh, she got attitude," and I was just like, "I don't." I'm like, anybody that know me, I'm the silliest person that you will ever meet. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm silly, but I ain't nothing to play with. But I don't always have an attitude. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, how, like, so I guess like how, what's a way that I can kind of shift my words, I guess, a little bit so that they don't come off as harsh.
So the scars you carry are stronger than the sword that made them.
Mhm.
And the reason that you it might serve you better to ask questions than to provide the answer.
Mhm.
So when somebody asks you something, say, and you know the answer that would absolutely set them straight, you sometimes see it in the chat. So what do you think? What would be a good answer for you? Because what's happening is you're showing up with reality. You have this instinct. You have this ability to care. You have this ability to say, "Don't waste another second. Here's what you do." And it's kind of
Yeah.
that cartoon character where they get slapped and their head falls off because they know it. They know the truth, and they're just hoping you don't know it, and you know it, and you speak it, and it's like, I don't even want to be around her because all she does is see through me. So I might encourage you to say, you know what? I think I've got a couple of answers that may serve you, but they come from my experience. What answer are you looking for?
Mhm.
And you get to sit, this is where the 2 ears, 1 mouth, you get to sit and listen more. They get to talk themselves out of their jail. Most people are on probation, and when they get in front of the probation board, they can't sell themselves out of jail. Well, I've been practicing. I've been doing the right things. I've been taking care of myself. No, you haven't.
Mhm.
So the way that you adopt your language is to listen more. And that's what makes it difficult at some point, until such point to where you've had these awakenings. And then the next awakening you may have is, all I got to do is, if I ask the best question possible, they'll get the best answer possible. And they'll look at me as a person that can help them find their source.
Okay, so I have another question.
Sure.
So now I'm starting to think, right? People, what if people already view me as their source and they're looking for that strength and they're looking for that truth and they're looking for that honesty, and that's what they think they want, right? And so they come to me because they know that I am the provider of it, but they don't know the level of intensity. So they ask me, they're like, "Whoa, I was not ready for that." You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I was looking for, but I didn't know it was gonna come in like a wrecking ball. And now they're like taken aback. But what I've realized is that they be taken aback, but they still be so intrigued. Like they like, I want this. This is what I want, even though it's too much. But this is what I want. So how do I guess how do I do I have to do anything?
So here's what my mentor taught me. Brittany, you just asked me a question. What are two paths you could take forward on this particular topic? So in that question of people want to come to me as the source, and when I give it to them, sometimes they're like fire hose but they wanted it, but they go away and they come back. What would be an A solution and a B solution for you. What two things would you want to try to figure out what would be the best way to solve that question?
So I have no idea.
Okay, that's a good answer. So then I guess you'll be stuck the rest of the day, but you do know an answer. So what would be, so if you wanted to, do you want to make people feel a little comfortable when they come to you, or do you want to keep giving them the full on onslaught so that they get the truth right away?
Both.
Okay.
I want
So
to be able to embody both
how much truth can somebody handle?
as much as they allow themselves to handle.
So how do you find out how much somebody's allowing themselves to handle?
Having conversation.
Mm. So if you were
I
to,
don't know. How do I know how much truth somebody?
so listen, Brittany, let me ask you, how much truth are you willing to handle right now to make sure that, do you want to serve people more or serve people less?
More.
So how do you find out if you can serve people more? It's real simple.
By, I don't know, listening.
Yeah, and asking
Okay, asking and listening. Okay.
permission. Do I have your permission to help?
That's what I gotta start doing. Right.
Do I have your permission to make you feel uncomfortable? Because the answer I may give you may be uncomfortable because it'll help get you something you haven't had before, but you're going to have to do something you've never felt before. Is it okay if you feel a little uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel a little uncomfortable, is it okay if we take you out of that uncomfortable feeling so that you can take the action steps to actually move forward on the thing that you want? That makes sense, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is people come to us, they ask us for the winning lottery numbers, we give it to them, they go, it can't be that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to play that, because if I play that, I win and my whole life changes, and I'm not ready for my whole life to change. I just wanted 5 of the numbers so I could bitch and moan that I got 5 of the numbers. I was 1 number away. Well, yeah, but no, I gave you all 6. Why didn't you play all 6? So there's people that'll get 1 number, 2 numbers, and they'll go to work tomorrow and they'll say, I had 3 numbers of the lottery whenever the lottery wins or plays or whatever. I had 4 numbers. Oh my God, I had 4 numbers. I think I got $30. And they want to tell the story that they almost won. So would we start off this call? What are you willing to say yes to?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to say yes to a partial solution, a complete solution, a next solution to get you through today? Because tomorrow it's going to change. What got you here can't get you out of here. Nothing fails like success. Nothing fails like success. And my job is to talk you out of your success. That's what I do every single day, is to talk you out of your success that keeps you stuck.
Sean, can you say a little bit more about that?
Sure. What would you like me to say a little bit more about?
I love you. What's coming up for me is that I can't reach success without failure. And you're also saying that.
So let's go back to that word. You can't reach success without failure. I agree. But what does Paulo Coelho say failure is? Failure is when you stop entering into the new and next interesting battle. Failure cannot exist until you stop. What did Edison say? I learned 9,999 ways to not make a light bulb. So every time you come up with something that doesn't produce the results you want, you now have become a brilliant master of being able to tell people that didn't work for me. It's not a failure. Could you imagine in dancing, especially salsa, if they weren't raised? I remember the first time I was in Puerto Rico and I saw 3-year-olds shaking their hips. I'm going, no wonder they're so dang good. They've been doing it for the last 20 years. And I come in, I'm like a 2x4, a 6'3" 2x4 that walks in onto a dance floor in Old San Juan, Puerto Rico, in a bar at 2:00 in the morning, and they're like giggling at me. The girls who work on my staff, who are part of the sales team, go, "Ay, pobrecito, You're as flexible as a 2x4. But after 6 years, the boy had some moves. So my point is that if I did everything on the first time I tried to dance salsa, if I did that perfectly every time, I'd still be a stiff board. Nothing fails like success. So they had to keep talking me out of the new habit that I learned to give me the next habit to learn to do the spin. Then there was a point where they said, dance in the square, un cuadrado.
Mhm.
You know how hard it was for me to dance in the square? Because now I had this movement and merengue and you're moving it. No, dance. You just dance in the square. We'll come to you. Right? Nothing fails like success. And every time I got good, I could get better. So I stopped using the old and I started using the new, which happens with every breath. I choose joy or I choose misery. So I do every day. It's going to sound crazy. I don't come here to personally develop you. I come here to help you unlearn your success, to talk you out of your success of yesterday. Can you talk your prospect out of the success? That's the challenge. When you sit there and you're meeting with somebody and they're coming to you at 30 years old, at 20 years old, at 50 years old, and they're saying, I want to be in business with you. I've been a salesperson for the last 18 years. I've sold high-end this, that, or the other. I've sold high-end tickets. Now I'm going to come and sell a $20 item and make $15. How the hell am I ever going to make a living doing that? I have to unlearn your success. Somebody comes, they want to come to Jesus and they say, well, I don't know. It can't really be all like that. We have to, the success they've had of not knowing him or knowing him in a particular way or having a preconceived notion. It doesn't matter if it's Jesus or network marketing. Everybody has this preconceived notion. How do I unlearn your success of what you're about to learn? And so that when this new learning, which is a total paradigm shift from where you are, it doesn't crash and collide with your old story and you go, screw this, I'm out of here. Do you have some people who pick up dance faster than others?
Yeah. And it's funny because it's funny, Sean, because it's not naturally quote unquote Latinos that may pick it up faster than others.
No, because they have all the bad habits. They're like freshman basketball boys. They played on the ball field, the court since they were little, and they learned all the bad habits.
They're the hardest to teach.
They're the hardest to teach. I coached both boys freshman basketball, and I coached both girls JV basketball. I love teaching the girls. What do we do, coach? Do like this. Okay, let me do that. Because I didn't know it then. What was wired in for them was the recognition and to serve. Because all of the mothers used to come to me on the JV. Now, I was loud. You think I'm loud? I was loud when I was on the court. The referees would go, would you just sit down and you'd stay in the box? You go sit down. The refs were yelling at me because I just never stopped talking. But the mothers would come to me and they say, my daughter has grown so much by being around you. She's learned what a gentleman is. She's learned what discipline is. And I just graduated high school. And they asked me to come back and coach the JV basketball team.
Wow.
So I say all of this to say, we always have to talk people out of their success. I won yesterday. Yeah, but if you do that today, you'll be a big loser. Oh, what do you mean? If you do what you did yesterday, if every one of you do what you did yesterday, you lose, period. You can't wake up the same way you woke up yesterday. If you did, you'd be stuck in bed still because you can't wake up the same way. The time is different. The sun is different. Nothing is ever going to be the same. You are constantly winning and failing and winning and failing. Can you do it faster? I set before you life and death. Choose life. I set before you success and failure. Choose success, which means you have to unlearn yesterday's success. You can't use it. It does not work, period. Go outside and tell the grass, I want you to grow like you did yesterday. Hello? Grow like you did yesterday. And you, tree, grow like you did yesterday. I can't. The water's different. The sun is different. The air is different. So when people say, I want the truth, what do you think the truth is? Once you find it, what does the truth hold? What's going to be the action you take once you learn this new truth? Once you become aware of this new truth, once I show you the thing that you didn't know, what happens? Come to me and I'll set you free. I think it says somewhere in the book. Come to me and I'll set you free. The reason that most people can't come to him is because they're not willing to be set free. And when you help somebody who learns to dance, right? Dance is one of the most fun things to watch from a training standpoint.
Yeah.
Because once they learn the new move, they get on the floor and they dance. Okay, here's what I really want you to do. I remember when my bride and I were taking flamenco dancing, and it was that sliding across the floor, right? When they stretch that leg, it's like, okay, we were doing all of the dance, but now we're going to take it to the next level. When you get to this position, you slide that leg. It's like, oh my God, now I got to learn. I was just successful. Now that's no longer successful. That's failure. And this is the new level of success.
Mm-hmm.
So how your responsibility is to tell me I wasn't a failure. Your job is to inspire me to go to this new level of success, but I now unlearn this, because if I do that, I'm a failure, because that's not the move that needs to be done. So now I don't stand there and I do this, I slide or I spin, or my hand goes around here, or when I let them out and they come back, and it comes back to a hand slap, not a grab or anything else. So there's just these moves that I got to constantly unlearn and learn the new ones, unlearn and learn the new ones. I just learned this yesterday. Yes, but we're taking you to the next level. You're going to have to unlearn your success.
Mm. It's it comes up again. I tell my students, you have to learn the rules in order to break the rules, specifically when it comes to dance, because not everything you learn from beginner 1 is going to be the same when you get to intermediate.
Yep.
Because you have to break new levels of success, and of course also the unlearning of the success every day. Wow.
Yeah. Let me ask you, do you learn anything new in your dance?
Yeah, I do actually still, even as a teacher, because I teach technique. I teach a little bit more about body awareness and body control.
But
and
you learn.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you have to unlearn what you already knew?
Yeah, certain time. Yeah, especially as a teacher, I have to unlearn it, because how do I package it and deliver the message?
How many students have you trained?
I've trained anywhere, from 1 student to at one point I had
in your lifetime, if you had to guess.
Say again?
How many in your lifetime? Couple thousand?
Oh, a few thousand. Yeah, for sure.
So how many of those did you teach the exact same way?
None.
So then why are you even asking me the question? You already know the answer 3,000 times over. You had to unlearn what you taught the last student to teach the new student. It's the same message, but you had to unlearn the way you taught it.
Wow. Wow.
See how we forget that our life that we've lived is the only lesson we need to learn? We've been through all of this stuff. I want to just shake people at their core when they go, well, I'm new to this business. Please tell me you're not new to this business. That's somebody told you that so they could impart their wisdom to you, which is a bunch of BS belief system that doesn't serve you. They're saying you're not, what they're saying is I'm not like you. I'm new to this business. I'm not like you. Put that in the play. I'm not like you. I'm new to this business. No, you're not. You have learned 3,000 times. You have enrolled more people into giving them what they want 3,000 times than some of the top professionals in our business. You could sponsor more people in this profession and you've done it in the most difficult thing, teaching people to dance. If you just looked at your prospecting as being able to, we've had this conversation of teaching people how to dance in this profession and teaching them the moves, use your current experience. Listen, I've helped probably 3,000 people dance to their favorite music would it be okay if we figured out what your music is, what your solution is, what's the song you want to be singing if you join me in my business? What's the song you want to be singing, the dance moves you want to be making? And one of the dance moves is a lot of people want to be able to learn how to create some money. They want to be able to learn how to dance inside of the Forex world, to be able to take care of arbitrage and deal with things about the currency, financial currency, and how it takes its dips and its moves. If you look at any tracking system, that's a dance, man. That's that's foot patterns.
Yes, it is.
Why are you making it so difficult? Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
Yeah. Wow. I am mind blown right now. I'm sure me and 102 other people on this call are mind blown right now.
Why do we have to look at everything as if it's not our thing? As if it's no thing, nothing. It's the the N-O thing. You don't know about it. It's impossible for you to enter into this world without bringing what you've already got. So then why do you say what you already got's no good? I'm new to this. No, you're not. We're going to have a dance. And when we go through this dance, some of you are going to refuse some of the moves, and I have to be a good enough teacher to help you get through the moves. But all I keep doing is, and then when you want to keep arguing with me, hey, listen, that'll get you so far. What if you don't want to, if the next move is not within your current time frame, stand over there by the bar and practice that. This is why you have to get out of their ears and into their eyes. You got to get out of their ears and into their eyes. When you say, okay, let me show you, and you bring somebody else from the teaching class and you show them the dance move. You can't keep telling me and telling me and telling me, well, you need to do it. No, show me. Some of you with your family, you need to get out of their ears and into their eyes and start doing something. With your team, you need to get out of their ears and stop telling them what to do and get your ass off the couch and go do it. You know why I'm not standing up here with a Bible in my hand? Because I ain't the guy doing it. Why do some people who stand up there on stage with a Bible in their hand and say, you should find Jesus, is because you're not even sure if they know how to spell it. But because they got a stage, because they got a platform, because they got a TV, sheeple will follow them. And we all know those that time promotes or exposes. This is your moment right now, today. Are you willing to unlearn the success that got you here, right? Einstein said the problems that are man-made can't be solved with the same mindset that created them. We're trying to fix tomorrow with yesterday's mind, and we're sitting here in a dilemma of, holy crap, I'm stuck. Of course you're stuck. You're trying to use yesterday's thing to go to tomorrow's solution when you're not even paying attention to it right now. You've been through 3,000 examples, Leo, of being able to adapt and adopt your ability to train. And it's your ability to see what their body can and can't do, to see what moves they can and can't do, right? Don't you take somebody on the floor and say, okay, let's see where you're at. And they go, well, I don't know how to move my left foot and my right foot. Okay, so now we'll start there. I had a perception of where you were because you knew all of the language. It sounded like you knew what you were going to talk about, but once they get on the floor, it's like, holy crap, you've never danced before, have you? Mm-hmm. They had all of the book knowledge. How many of you have so much book knowledge about your business you don't understand the number one ingredient in your business? People. You may know your comp plan left and right and center. I don't know my comp plan other than the first two levels. I honestly don't. Somebody asked me, do we have a product that does this? Geez, I don't know about that. I'll send you the brochure and you can look it up. Listen, if you find out, will you let me know? Then we'll both know. I honestly do not know so much. But what I do know is how to help people dance. move their mind, dance with their thoughts. Does that help, Leo?
Tremendously. Sean, I know we have this conversation before. I think, you know, even with our conversation before, it was for me to unlearn that I've had that success, that I can recreate it again, but newly.
It's when we think our life is separated.
100%. Oh my God, 100.
You think dance is different than your business. It's not. It's the same damn thing.
100%. And I think that delves in the realm of integrity, that wholeness, bringing everything as one. And for me, that was what.
So let me ask you, Leo. So this is going to be a tough question for the people who sponsor you or sponsored you. Has anybody used your dance studio as a reason why you're so successful? In your business presentation, in your introduction, if somebody was going to introduce you as the expert, right? They're the prospect, they're the business partner, and they got a prospect, and they're going to do a three-way. Does anybody introduce you with the success of your studio?
No.
That's why you think you got to learn something different. You know I love you, right?
Yes, sir.
Dumbass.
I'll take it. I'll take that slap with love, man.
Because here's how I would introduce you. Hey, Rhonda, listen, I've got Leo on the call, and I'm excited because for him to take the time out today, he runs this very successful dance studio in New York and New Jersey.
Both.
In New York and New Jersey. He has this amazing soulmate that hangs out with him. But here's what I love about Leo and why I consider him so successful and such a support in our business, because he's helped over 3,000 people achieve a goal they never thought possible. They came to him to learn to teach, and every day he learns new ways to support his students in his dance studios. And the reason that I love what he does is because he understands what it is to take somebody who's afraid to take the first step, and some of them have gone on to win competitions. So I want you to listen to Leo. He's going to tell you a little bit about the business, but I want you to hear how when he asks you these questions, they're all about you winning that blue ribbon called success to allow you to have some more with our business model. And hell, if you want to learn how to dance, he can probably do that over the internet, because God knows in the last 2 weeks, he's been doing that too. Mm-hmm. But the point is that, are you okay with hearing some new dance moves to create more success in your business, called our business model? Leo, Rhonda. Do I have to talk about your experience, money you've made in this business and not? All I got to say is, do you know what success looks like? Yes or no? Have you helped more than 2 people, so at least it's not a freak of nature? And do you understand what it is to deal with people who don't want to win? Because I don't care what the business model is. I don't care if it's your company, my company, anybody else's company. We got to get them on the damn dance floor. And if they can't get on the dance floor, they're going to sit home and bitch at me, and I ain't taking it. Ain't my fault. Ain't my problem. Ain't my job. My job is to do 2 things: find customers and build leaders. That's it. People come to your studio. Where do they sign up for neuroscience? But aren't you teaching neuroscience? Aren't you rewiring the brain with music, with movement, with everything that rewires the brain?
Yes, sir.
You ever have anybody that can't get this dance step, and it's like, God, I've been trying this a week. Why can't I get it? Because their old story's stuck in their head. And then you get them, and you grab them, and you put your love around them, and you rewire them as you're touching them, and as you're holding on to them. You are in physical contact with them, and they go, oh, because their partner didn't understand the move. When the partner understands the move, can't they take the next step?
Yes, sir.
Listen, I love you all. Why are you all shitty dance instructors?
Wow.
Dance your own music. You all are brilliant dance instructors. Stop trying to dance my dance. That's when you ask me, oh, let me write that down. I got to get that script. Take it, but turn it into your dance, please.
Mind blown.
Can I say something about that?
Sure.
So this is interesting. Everything's interesting to me. So
Oh, your camera's not on. Now you're teaching.
That's it.
Now you're
Well, it's my camera's not on because my eyes are really itchy right now, so I'm laying with ice on
okay.
them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, if you want to see that, I can cut the camera on, but I can't see you guys. Um, but so okay, interesting, because I was having this conversation with some of my business family, and when you related to Leo teaching how to dance, what basically in essence what I was saying to them was, um, we can teach them this dance, or we can basically we could teach them this dance, but what I see a lot of people doing is trying to teach them this plus this plus this plus this plus this plus this plus this without them even having to come to class. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How many lessons can somebody learn? How many steps can somebody learn?
Right. And it's like we already have the 8 count, right? We have the 8 count already. But I've seen a lot of people overexert themselves and try to teach them a full-on choreographed dance when they don't have to do that. And I love when you say you get paid to bring people and build leaders. Is that what you said?
Find customers.
Yeah, find customers and build leaders, because that's exactly how I feel. I'm here to find customers, build leaders, and create relationships with these people. But what I see a lot of people in my business want to do, they want to recreate the wheel. And I just feel like that's just doing too much. It's doing way too much. And that may be a reason why people are repelled from what it is that we do, all based on the approach. Can you make that make a little bit more sense to me?
So the key is that, and here's the example. When I watch somebody's business presentation and there's 13 ways to get paid or 8 ways to get paid, and you tell me all of that on the first visit, that's trying to teach me the choreograph. When, listen, what's the first step? Here's the first step. Do this. When you do that, you'll learn this. But when I tell you 13 ways, you're like, shit, I'll never learn how to dance flamenco dance. It'd be like me coming to my first class, which is a world-class competition of salsa dancing. And it's like, that's what you're going to look like. Ain't no way. Ain't no way, Jose. And I quit.
I mean, it's great that you say that, Sean. And I'm sorry, Brittany, to interrupt, but we have a social dance community. So, around the world, people get together and they just dance. Like as if you went to, a party, right? So in these socials, it can be very, very daunting for new people to be there because of the twists and the turns and all these things that people have already trained in. So people get overwhelmed, and sometimes they don't even want to dance because they see how other people are dancing.
I go to Latin America, and the couple of drinks start flowing through people, and people that are the most upright, stiff boards get on the dance floor with their bride, and they just move like unbelievable. And I got to remind myself, they've been doing this since they could walk. People that don't look like they could move on a dance floor. You're going, oh my God, are we going to have to, do they need some oxygen? And they get out on the dance floor, and all of a sudden it's like they morph into this crazy dance machine, and they're spinning and they're flipping and they're not paying it, and they're just, it's like, what was the barrier? What was the field they walked through when they step on the dance floor? They listen. A 91-year-old and a 21-year-old watch this beautiful girl go by on the beach, absolutely gorgeous. The 21-year-old looks at her, and the 91-year-old looks at her. You know why? The 91-year-old looks at her from his 21-year-old eyes. What eyes are your prospects looking through at their future? Failure or success? You're trying to teach them new dance moves, and they can't see the success. They're looking through your future with their old eyes, and they're looking through that lenses that they have welded onto their face, and they cannot see the success you're, right? You guys all know this. Listen, think about me. Listen, I've talked enough about me. Why don't y'all talk about me? I look at each of you and I see the success. You know how easy it would be for me to say, well, just stop being stupid. Just do it. Now, I used to be that way, and it didn't serve me very well. I didn't have 93 people on the call after an hour and a half. There'd be about 2 people left going, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Let's do this. We're going to either get to the top of the mountain or die on the side. This helping?
Tremendously. It really is.
Cool. You all know the answer. That's the thing. You're trying to use somebody else's story. You all have your own dance moves. You all have your own thing. And the challenge is everybody wants what you got. They want your success. They want your happiness. They want your joy, whether it be true or manufactured, but they want something from you. And so the question is that you can't get what I got, but I can give you what you got. And am I willing to not have you use my story, develop your own story? Because when we get off this call, I'm gone. You're not. Can you have enough courage and faith when this call ends to go take care of you? That's the question. When you leave a prospect, can you stay in their mind, right? Some of you are now going, I hear Sean in my head. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but when you say that, I hear Sean, I hear, what would Sean say? Okay. When your prospect leaves, do they say, I wonder what Brittany would do in this situation? I wonder what Leah would do in this situation. I wonder what Nana would do in this situation. I wonder what Johnny would do in this situation. I wonder what Julietta would do in this situation, or Laura or Gina. What they do. As
How
opposed
do we
to,
get them to that point?
That's what I was gonna say.
But you know what? Okay, so I think I already know the answer. But Sean, what's
would you be willing to accept an answer that might be different?
Yes.
Okay. So the way you get them to that is you have them be able to ask their question. Because there's a transition. What question would Brittany ask me right now? Because once they get involved, once they understand the translation of, they start asking them those questions, they begin to ask the question, and then what comes up is so what would Brittany do? There's a difference. They got to first ask the question, what would Brittany ask me? Then the next question. Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, no, this is, I'm annoyed because it all goes back to the same thing. And it's like, Sean, you have so much patience, because even as I sit here and listen, and I'm just like, why do I even keep asking these same questions? You know the answer. It all goes back to the same core basic principles, listen, love, care. And it's like, if we can just do that, all of the questions that we have will no longer exist. So why can't we just do that? Yeah, like what?
So y'all remember when you've seen us walk through the process where somebody's in pain, and I say to them, breathe in, feel the pain, say, and I love that. And then I'll always ask, what'd it do? It either goes down or it moves. In love, nothing but love exists. It's like saying, okay, I've got the lights on in the room. Show me where the darkness is. But you all are in the dark trying to go, hey, listen, where's the light? Somebody just light one damn candle. Now, you may not be able to see out of the light, right? That's called the shadows. But I got light on in my room. It's darker. Yeah, but is that darkness? No, because there's light on. Love is light. See the light. Brittany, listen, seeing you today and your smile, you know how you could answer 90% of your questions?
With a smile?
I swear to God. Absolutely. You go, aw.
Oh.
I swear to goodness, if you just did that smile with those eyes, the eyes of love, They asked me the question. Can you imagine how wonderful it feels? They asked me the question. Oh my gosh. And then, as a parent, right? As the person who's coming to you, they know the answer. I can see the answer in their eyes. And if I just love them enough, it'll pour out of them. What do you say? I think I answered my question. I love you. I didn't have to say, you know how easy it is for me when I have a conversation with you? I hear you, Brittany. Oh, I think I know the answer. Geez, I can't believe I'm asking this. It is that much fun. And it gets funner. And it gets funner and funner and funner. Ask Leo, when he watches somebody who's doing the dance moves, he ain't on the floor, but he loves watching the people be able to do it because the smile in their eyes when they get the dance and they get the twist and they get this, oh my gosh, and they hit it just right. And they can be doing it with their eyes closed and they go around the head and they do this and they're looking beautiful and they got the moves because the moves are what's designed to actually move to the music. Can you get people to move to the music? What's the music playing in the background? Could you imagine trying to dance salsa to, and I'm sure somebody's probably done it, like to heavy rock or to rap?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, Sean, because sometimes I'll teach to like Michael's music, Michael Jackson or James Brown. Those are my music, Prince. And the moves can translate because it's universal, but it's not the same.
Because that's the music they're used to listening to.
Mm-hmm.
They've heard that more than they've heard salsa. And now they got to hear this new music and try to move their body to this new music. And it's like, I don't even understand the music. And you're trying to get me to rewire my body. But if I hear Michael Jackson, right? Yeah, nobody's allowed to replay that as a ringtone. Right? But they can, because now they know the music. They know the next beat. If they know the next beat, they can take the next step. Why are you trying to keep switching up the damn beat on everybody in their own life because they don't know how to take the next step? You should be more like me and less like you. Everybody wants to know the next beat. And the problem is we're singing a song they never heard called Success. So why don't we give them a chance to have some success? That's why I asked the question, when's the last time you were on a winning team? Most people got to go back to grade school baseball. I've never been on a winning team. Did you ever play kickball? Yeah. Did you ever win? Yes. Do you remember who was on the team with you? Yeah. Sally, Bobby, and you were on a winning team. I'm sorry it was kickball in third grade, but that's what I'm going to show you right now is a winning team. Would it be okay if I showed you a winning kickball team? I have a feeling when I talk to my friends about faith, they say, yeah, but I've never experienced it. Did you ever experience a miracle? There you go. Did you ever have something in your life that's unexplainable and you called it luck? What if we redefine that as faith expressing itself in the real world? RBP, what comments you got? I'm just sitting here in East Texas writing notes.
I am. You're doing me good. I am. I'm getting a little tickled because all the questions they're asking you to answer, you're doing it by example. Right back as you answer their questions. So I'm getting a little tickled being able to sit back and watch. I feel everybody. I feel how everybody wants to see, for lack of better words, how to open the doors for the people that are waiting for them to let them into their lives. So the more I listen to these calls and the more I listen to people asking these questions, really what you're asking for is, you think you're asking because you lack success. Well, you're successful by sitting here asking the questions. That's the biggest success you'll ever have, because you're actually asking the questions. You're thinking for yourself. And every time y'all ask Sean a question, he asks you, he validates your question, and then he asks you a question. And he's teaching you to think for yourself. And the success you're waiting on is the manifestation of the success. You want to see the results of the success. The success is asking the questions. The success is thinking on your own, using your brain on your own, and coming up with what's inside of you that needs to come out. You know, Sean said, how do you get people, for lack of better words, how do you get, what eyes are people looking through? Are they looking through eyes of success or eyes of failure? This is the whole reason why identifying your story and speaking your story, your testimony, for lack of better words, is so important, because maybe the eyes that they're looking through at the moment are so clouded because they don't even know their own story and testimony. And if you can get them to see your testimony and hear your story and walk beside them, you might be able to kind of take off your glasses and hand it to them and let them borrow. And that's what I always, when I say let them borrow your love and courage and joy, you can let them borrow your lenses and they can see it until they finally go, wait a second, that's the wrong prescription. I'm good. I'm good. And he does that by asking questions. He's basically asking, are the glasses that are on your face, are the lenses that you're looking through comfortable with you? And some of you are like, yeah, I'm good. And he's like, okay, good. And he's fine with you being good. But some of you are going, no, these are wrong. I'm not seeing right. Why am I not? No, Sean, this ain't right. And Sean's like, here, borrow mine. And you look through Sean's, and for a minute you're like, I'm wearing Sean's glasses. And you're happy because you're wearing Sean's glasses, but then you finally go, wait a second. Well, I see better, but it's still a little off. And then that's when I get discombobulated, because I'm like, wait a second. He gave me his glasses. I should be able to see everything the way Sean sees it. I should see success. I should see love. I should see everything I could possibly see. And then I have to realize, hang on a second. Those are Sean's glasses. So what Sean is doing and what you guys are trying, what you guys are learning to do is to help people. They can borrow your glasses, see a little clearer, and then they can kind of go, I don't know about this. And you can go, well, what about your glasses? How are your glasses? And you're just helping people go, oh, my glass, well, now I see a little differently. And it might just be that you cleaned them off a little. It might just be that you gave them a moment to breathe. But this is why your testimony is so huge. Your story is so huge. This is why we say don't be scared of your story. Don't be scared to tell your story, because it's your story. It's Sean's story. If we got on here and all Sean ever did was tell us how flippin' amazing he is, none of us are going to be able to go, well, I can do that. No. First of all, I can't fly to 35 different countries, much less get translated in them right now. Everyone's going to go, well, my bank account won't let me go there. And then the next thing is they're going to go, I would rather die before I get on stage. Oh my gosh, there's no way I could host a call and be the only voice for an hour. Oh my gosh. But he sits here and he tells us, I'm just a farm boy from Ohio. 0.9 grade point average. I drove by a lot of colleges. Y'all made $85,000 my first year. Wait a second, wait for it. I made it in debt. Hear his story. And he walks you down this path of going, wait a second, those glasses are terrible. Okay, let me borrow. Oh, Sean's glasses are amazing. Wow. And then you finally go, wait a second. No, And Sean helps you do this. He helps you take those glasses off. And then he helps you find your glasses and puts them right back on. And then you're like, oh, I've had what I needed. These were fine. And I'm watching him do this and take us all on our own walk. And the reason it doesn't feel, he's not manipulative, it doesn't feel manipulative or slimy or greaseball, is because he comes from a place of such authentic joy and sincere love that every one of us just lean in. And we're like, what's he going to say next? And then we go, well, he knows all the answers. And you ask him a question and he gets you to think inside your own head. And then you're like, oh, dadgummit, I knew that. I knew that. And that's all it is. How many times can you tell your story to get people to be comfortable with going, well, my story's kind of like that, and to help them see that the answer's inside of them all the time. They just lack enough confidence because they haven't seen the results that they want yet, because they chose to quit, and quitting is failure. Moving is success. Now you might not be, your GPS might be off a little bit, and you think your plane's headed to Dallas and you're off a little bit and you end up over in New Orleans, but you're moving. And then we just got to GPS your radar a little bit. So I don't know if any of that makes sense to y'all over there. In my head, it's all clicking together and the puzzle pieces are all coming together, and it's empowering and it's encouraging, because I sit here knowing, and God forbid it ever happen, if I don't have Sean again to speak to, I know what he left me is all I need. He left me. So then that's the other question. Can I go to people in people's lives? Can I talk to them on the phone, on social media, across the table, whatever you want to call it, and give them so much love and joy that they can sit inside themselves and go, I got this. And if I never have Rhonda speaking to me again, I can go do this for somebody else.
Ooh,
So that's where I'm sitting. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but it does to me.
that makes.
There you go.
So, in what you're saying, and from what Sean said, because when you were talking, I originally thought of a lot of people's glasses. Sorry, guys, I'm out of breath. I'm working out. But that people's glasses are foggy, and so you have to sit with them enough to where they can take them off, see the success from your standpoint, but find their own success for themselves and understand the only thing that they have to do is merely wipe off their glasses. But you have to be the person to show them that that's what they need to do. But essentially that everything that they needed was with them in the first place. They just needed to see it from a different perspective, which is why you talked about giving them your glasses and now allowing them to see it for themselves in their own glasses and not seeing your success as their own, but defining their success.
So Ashley, then you bring up another curious question, because I don't know if y'all saw me at the very, very beginning of this call. I kept going, and I'd wipe my glasses off, and I'm sitting here doing this. Then I wipe my glasses off, and I'm like, I got up and I walked over and I wiped them off somewhere else. And then I finally remembered that I have a special little cloth in my purse, little tiny cloth, not like that big.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, just like what Sean told me. And every time I wiped them off with my robe, they were still foggy. And then they'd have like a piece of cat hair because my cat lays on me. And whatever was on my robe would get on my glasses. And then I would look at it and I'd be like, oh, I'm still not seeing clear. And then I would use my pajama shirt. Well, I've got oil on my skin. And then my glasses would be kind of covered. I'm like, what the heck? Where's the oil coming from? And then I wipe them over here on this piece of cloth. And then when I finally found the right cloth that I had with me at all times, and I pulled it out and I cleaned it off and it cleaned the smudge and I put them back on, I was like, oh, okay. The lights don't have rings around them. That's awesome. And now I can see everybody clearly. So what we're doing is just helping people. Okay, quit using your robe. It's got cat hair on it. You're not going to get your glasses clean. And we're doing it in a gentle way. Well, what about if you use this? Oh, I don't know. Let me try. Oh, well, that gave me oil on my skin. Okay, well, what about if we choose this? You may know that the lens cloth is in their purse or on their table, But instead of going, look, stupid, just use your lens cloth.
Walk them through the process of trying other things first.
Walk them through the way their mind thinks. Well, the easiest thing is my bathrobe's right here. Okay, try it. Well, the easiest thing is to say it like this. Okay, try that. And then they came back and they're like, dadgummit, they're still foggy. Those people were pissed. Okay, so maybe not that. What else do you have? Oh, well, I have this over here. Okay, try that. Well, it's a little cleaner, but yeah, those people are a little bit better. And you walk them to what it is they have, and you help them tweak it. And if their glasses or lenses ever get too foggy, you're like, here, use mine for a minute. Take a breather, use mine for a minute. So every morning we get on this phone call at 6:30 in the morning for Sean to go, here, put my glasses on, y'all. Okay, everybody breathe. Everybody breathe. And we're going to find you the lens cloth today, if you're willing to see it. And then we're going to help you, and it'll get the glasses a little clearer. But when you find the real lens cloth, the actual one that's made for cleaning glasses, you have no doubt it'll happen.
But then something that also that came to me when you were talking about using like your shirt or your robe or whatever else to wipe like your glasses, to me, for some reason, that registered as like using society's perspectives or other people's perspectives.
Yes.
And none of them work for you.
Yes.
It was like somebody said that you should be this, or somebody said that you should do this, or someone said that you shouldn't do this, and you try this and you try that and you try this, and it's still smudged.
Yes.
And finding the fact that all the tools that people told you needed to use, you didn't need. It was basically the one that you already had.
And that, Ashley, is exactly why Sean gets us to think for ourselves. Because he knows, he looks on his camera, into his camera, and he has his 3 screens at his house, because I've been there on the show with him. And he's got all of us spread out. And he sees us, and he looks at each one of us. Y'all don't realize it, but he looks at us as he's talking. And he sees it in us. And he's just helping us think for ourselves. And he can feel each one of us and see each one of us. And he's looking at all these, and as he says something, and he hears, oh, look there, and he looks over there, and someone's over there looking in the camera going, or they're like, oh. That's why he wants you on camera. He can feel you whether you're on camera or not, but that's why he wants you on camera. Or you can see you swallow and go, put your hand on your heart like, dear God. And he's like, oh, breakthrough. Oh, they're thinking. Oh, and this is the other reason why he's telling y'all about the feedback from sitting in front of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Because all you're trying to do, Ashley, is exactly what happened to you just now. Think for yourself. But it's so easy, it's hard.
Yeah, that's what I was
It's so easy
say.
that your old story will go, you can't think, you ain't been successful ever. You ain't never had no success. You ain't never made no money. And your old story jumps in and starts jacking with your thoughts, and you're like, oh, I can't think. So what happens? God brings you Sean. And Sean starts asking you questions, and we're all like putting the blown up head emoji. Like, what? Oh my gosh. But the only reason you can do the blown up head emoji is because you're capable of hearing that thought and processing it. You got the same processor.
You're just now in a different space to where you can actually understand what's being said and make sense of it.
You're willing to hear.
Ashley, do you realize you just scratched your prefrontal lobe?
Quite well, I might add as well. Quite well.
I'd like to paraphrase Ashley, if I might. You just need to find your Miles Davis. Miles Davis didn't play what he thought the audience wanted to hear. He played what he himself needed to play. And the audience came to hear his notes, not theirs. Getting to the next level of your life and in your career is less about what you need to do and more about what you need to let go of. and who you need to be. You're not there. Yeah, you want to meet people at their own model of the world, but ultimately a bird doesn't sing because it has an answer. It sings because it has a song.
I never thought about it like that.
So it's about finding your Miles Davis.
You realize you just scratched your left prefrontal cortex.
Yes.
As you were saying, I never thought about that.
Huh.
Huh.
So Ashley, you're thinking for yourself. You're walking you're walking through these synapses and firing off these neurons that either might have had a little rust on them or hadn't been used as much, or you're creating brand new ones. But you're thinking for yourself, and as you think for yourself, you'll have kind of these awakenings or epiphanies, and you'll be like, oh my gosh.
And it's so much simpler, literally just doing it my way instead of trying to adopt what everybody else wants to say that you should be doing or shouldn't be doing, to just do it your way.
Yes.
Actually, I have a question for you.
What's up?
Because so what do you do like after you you sit on these calls and you're in deep thought and you're scratching your head? What do you do after to cultivate these thoughts or to put them into action or to understand them a little bit more throughout your day before you come back on these calls?
So I usually write them down. I don't because a lot of times when I'm on this call, I'm working out. So after I work out, I'll write them down, either in the middle of the conversation or once we finish talking, I'll write them down. I'll probably make breakfast and then I go back over them to figure out what are the things that stuck out to me today and how can I apply them today before I get started with the rest of my day. Or I'll write them on my whiteboard in my room.
Okay. I think for you, just because I know you, that it will be good for you to continue to engage in conversation.
Freeze. That's not listening.
Okay.
So what you're about to say is what you think is good for you.
Okay.
And you're trying to displace what's good for you on somebody else and put the burden on them so you don't have to.
Okay.
Because I think I know you. You're just getting to know you. How the hell can you know anybody else?
I don't know, Sean. Can't you do multiple things simultaneously?
No. And the illusion is that you can. You were taught that you can. The brain can only do one thing at a time. When you do multiple things, it's multitasking. The average time it takes the average brain to get back on track from a 2-second distraction is 45 minutes.
Well, not that way, but can't we love two people at the same time?
Can you not focus on you?
Yes.
Have you reached epiphany in your life?
Multiple times.
Then I would encourage you to take care of you. I'm not telling you to stop telling Ashley what to do because you know her, but I'd say I'd work on you until you know you. Because what happens if you learn something new? Might your answer change for Ashley?
No.
It wouldn't. If you learned something new that would serve her better because you did something that served you better, you'd give her the old story, you'd give her the old bad information.
Oh, no, but what I was getting from that, what you were saying was if I learn something new that works for me, just because it works for me doesn't mean that it's going to work for somebody else.
But if it works for you, doesn't everything you knew on how to explain success to others, doesn't it change?
Yes.
So then you're giving her a story that's going to fail because you're going to learn something new. Do you have the time to go back and tell her the new thing that and admit that, you know what, I gave you something that was stupid yesterday. Let me give you the new story.
I don't.
You want to be right. You're right. I'm rich. Let's.
No, I don't. I just maybe I do want to be right. I don't know.
You do. It's not that maybe. You do. I love you, and I'm strong enough to tell
And I
you.
know, and I know now because I have my camera on. You can see it in my face, so I can't even like.
Well, I can see it in your face, but I watch where your
Yeah.
eyes go.
Right, because I do. I do.
Again. Again.
And you've had your arm, by the way, who's noticed to where her arm has been the whole time? I'm not taking in any of your new information. No, now it's behind. Now it's behind.
Oh, because it's here.
Yeah, before it was right here. I'm protecting my prefrontal cortex. You are not pouring anything into me because what I got is what I got, and I don't care what you say. I'll love you because I respect you. Damn it.
Okay. I guess I have nothing more to say.
Yeah. Now, see, so what's the easiest way to end an argument? What's the easiest way to win an argument?
Stop
Okay.
talking.
No. Easiest way to win an argument is to say what?
Okay, agree.
You're right.
Well, I don't. Are we arguing?
You are. I'm not.
I don't feel like I'm arguing.
Okay, you're right.
Am I argumentative?
No.
Somebody told me no. Somebody actually did
Really?
tell me that I was. Oh my
Yes.
God.
Yes.
Y'all are harsh.
But that's
Oh, that's supposed to make
it's what
us
you
feel
need.
sad so that you have a
No.
soft spot and we just offended you. Y'all are so harsh. Say it in the way you would normally talk. Y'all are so harsh. We're like, damn, you just said it in a harsh way. If you said you're so harsh in the way that you sometimes give your answers, you'd realize we're not being harsh at all. We love you.
Just very blunt.
Hey,
Okay,
Sean.
so
Yes, go ahead, Michael.
Sorry, is it all right if I ask something while you guys are talking? The reason is I gotta have breakfast with my mom soon.
Okay,
I
good. What's your question?
So I wanted to explain something actually kind of interesting. It's not like the worst problem, but it's an interesting problem. I have I'm like a visionary, so like I always love to think of like things in the future, and I had this issue yesterday where I was just thinking about like my amazing future ahead, and I wasn't living in the moment, and it actually made me pretty unproductive. And I was reading the chapter of The Science of Success, and it was the chapter on efficiency, and it was that you just have to do the most that you can do at every moment in this moment. And I gotta figure out, like, is it all right to like have these crazy ideas and be thinking about the future? Because that will definitely hurt you in the present.
Well, if you're on a sailboat, where are you always at when you're on the sailboat? You're somewhere on the path. But how do you make sure you're going to arrive at your destination?
You gotta know where you're going.
Which means you got to check the what?
The compass.
That's all you're doing in the moment is checking the compass. How do I feel in this moment? Is the way I feel right now going to allow me to continue to adjust the sail and stay on my journey? Remember, I've got a goal of 600 generations. That's 2,000 plus years from now is my goal. Sitting on this call at 8:35 in the morning is all part of that. I'm adjusting my sail.
So do you still visualize your dream, your ultimate dream? You basically just kind of bring yourself back to reality and be like, all right, like maybe I got to make a tick and go this way. But at the end of the day, you still like, do you live in your dreams or do you live where you are right now? Like,
It's already done. What do they say about Disney? Disney's wife came to him on his deathbed and said, "I'm sorry you didn't see Disney built." He says, you couldn't see it if I didn't see it. I can't enroll somebody into my business if I don't see the dream with them, if I don't have them in my dream. Nobody can enroll with you unless you can paint the vision for them. That's I'm willing to go through pain to get that, because nobody's been able to guide me to that before. So yes, I'm always in my dream.
Okay, cool. Because I like being in the dreams. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
But I can be in the dream taking action now. Does this bring me joy or misery? And there's some days I was like, holy mackerel, boy, did I take a left-hand turn. I need to readjust. That's what the meditation does every morning. Because I can be checking the compass, but maybe somebody put a magnet next to the compass and it was off 3 degrees. And somebody pulls that magnet out and it's like, holy crap, how did I wind up over here? Because I was going at Mach speed and I wound up 3 degrees off, but that's thousands of miles now that I have to course correct.
All right, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I actually get that, because like it's almost like when you say the magnet, what if you imagine it as it's someone else's energy and that it's literally like, oh crap, like I didn't mean to get magnetized to their next
attraction to the it's called the attraction to the distraction, the shiny object.
Interesting.
I'm curious, Michael, do you feel motivated to have those?
Yeah.
Does that get you up and creating those futures?
Yeah. Wait, say that again, Bob. I'm gonna explain.
When you're living in your futures, are you motivated to create them, to move into them, or are you just already there?
It literally feels like I'm already there. That's how real these feel to me. But I definitely am motivated every day by them. So let me tell you my dream. My dream is the reason I'm doing this whole business, like my biggest dream ever was to become the biggest musician in the world. And I wanted to start off as like a DJ for my fraternity and then just use this vehicle so that I can become financially free. And I just gotta like I'm definitely gonna be a great performer on stage, and I wanna just go on that route and really just be myself on stage. So I literally live in that dream every single day. And I definitely would say it motivates me.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether or not you step out of it enough to be attracted to it in such a way that you are motivated to take the steps you need to take to create that future. Most people organize their past and their future on some sort of a timeline, and a lot has to do with the way where you put that image of the future out on your timeline. If you're always out there, you're not necessarily compelled to get to it. But if it's out far enough at the right distance from you, in whichever direction your future is, then you're motivated to attend to it, to move toward it. If you're always in it, well, why do I need to do anything? I'm there. I got it.
That's true. With what you just said, that was my issue yesterday. I was literally just daydreaming so hard that I was actually unproductive by it. And it was like I was like, damn, like time just flew by because I was just like kind of just like in my own dreams basically. And so I would say like that definitely wasn't the best thing for me to like really get to where I want to go.
Stepping into your future is good to test it out to see if that's exactly what you want. But you aren't going to be motivated to create it if you're representing yourself as already being in it, already having it. So, given that time is the essence, what I would suggest to somebody to do with something like that is to notice where in space you set out your future. Most people in our culture tend to put it off to the right at a slight angle. And we make our images of what's going to happen tomorrow, the next month, 2 years from now, when I'm going to have my license driver renewed, And they put those images out on that future timeline. But the trick is to set it up in such a way that from the present, you're drawn and compelled to have those futures. And occasionally you go out and check them out to make sure that they're exactly the way you want them, so that you end up with a preferred feeling. And the preferred feeling is the way you know that your future is exactly the way you want it. You may have to retest it time and time again as you learn new things. But if you're spending all your time in your future, nothing's going to get done. You've got it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So what I should take from that is basically step into it, test it out, see if I love it, and then be like, all right, like reality, like let's make it happen.
Yeah. Put that image out on your future timeline in such a way that when you think about it, it's compelling to you to move toward it, to create it, do something about it.
All right. Cool. Thank you, Bob.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
And that's why we have a mastermind. Does that help, Michael?
Yeah. I needed that. My goal today is to not necessarily just be like daydreaming the whole day. My goal is to bring it back to reality, but I'm definitely gonna like think about it from time to time. Be like, all right, this is what I want.
Cool. Guess what? You get to, when you go have breakfast with your mom, you get to sit in a different level of clarity now.
I do. That's why I had to get this off my chest before. So then like now I get to enjoy it with her even more.
There you go. Have a great breakfast with mom.
Thank you.
Gina, you got a question?
Good morning, everybody. Okay, I have a few questions actually. One of my questions is, yesterday I was on a call and I found myself, instead of just like writing regular notes, I started writing questions, and I started writing like affirmations as I'm listening to them speak.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, like, when did you kind of decide, or what happened that was that switch that made you start writing your notes as questions?
When I realized I couldn't be like them. It doesn't do me any good to take down your note if I can't say your note the way you said it. And I used to try to say that it was a script. Any of our notes are a script. Do you see how that makes sense? That when I write down what you said, somebody asked me a saying about love, and I don't remember what I said about love. They said, "What's that quote you said about love?" I said, "I really don't remember." But if you write down my script, that's my script. Now you got to say it the way I say it. Because what'll happen is most people will not do this. I was listening to Sean the other day and he said this. They'll say, blah, 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 my words as their words, and it never comes across as real. Imagine if I started quoting scripture out of the Bible as my scripture. Well, dude, that's Isaiah 54, chapter 53, verse 4. No, that's mine. And again, the reference to me is what people are like, well, who's this guy and how do you get to know him? Right? When Rhonda talks, she has a little bit closer conversation with Jesus than most people I know. And she just uses his words. Well, what he said was this, and how he said this, and here's what he said, and here's why this makes sense in that. But could you imagine if she was going, well, here's what I would say. And she reads us the 3 of the Beatitudes. Oh my God, she's a genius. That's why there was a movie out. Was it Isaiah? It was Denzel Washington, and he was carrying the book. And the one guy wanted the book, right? And the book that he wanted was the Bible. Because he said, if I have that, I will control everybody. He wanted to control everybody. But he had it, and he was protecting the book because that's what gave people freedom versus locking people up. So you have a word, you have a conversation, and I want you to have your own version of your conversation. So that's why I started writing questions going, I can't say it like Mark Victor Hansen or Bob Proctor or or Joe Dispenza or Sadhguru or Muji or you. I can't teach from Gina's perspective. But I can say, you know, on my call this morning, there was this amazing young soul who asked a question, and it was, why did you start to change your notes into questions? And the fun thing I learned is that she started to change her notes into questions. She started to ask some more questions because now she's realizing she's worthy of telling her story, not mine. That's when you start asking questions. Your story's worthy. You stop being the parrot, you become the teacher. Because when you ask a question, the brain has to do two things. Will it kill me, or how fast can I recognize the pattern? And the pattern is when you ask a question, it has to answer that. That's why some of the best trainings that y'all have been a part of here was me nothing more than reading my notes of questions. Ooh, oh, what was that last? Oh. And all I did was read questions. I didn't do any teaching or training. So that's when that happened. When I realized I couldn't say it like they do. Even if I learned the words and the inflections and the tonations, the essence, their essence doesn't come through in my conversation. My essence comes through in my conversation. So I'll hear what they say. What did they say? What's the question that they asked? Or what's the question that gets asked to make that the answer?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot for me to like chew on.
So chew on that. Chew on that. And we have a new caller to the line. There's Brittany. Brittany, go ahead. First time caller.
And now I got my glasses on. I'm a whole new person. So I wanted to talk more about this resistance.
Okay.
And because I'm thinking, so this is interesting, right? Because I have a friend who says that I'm very argumentative. But she's the only person outside of here. Oh, Gina says she still has more questions.
Okay, go ahead, Gina.
Okay, thank you. Another question I had, it's more of like a law of attraction based question.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If the one thing that I gave you was a lot to chew on, why do you choose not to chew on that?
Because these are questions I had from like a few days ago that I never got to ask.
Okay.
So my question is, I know a lot of people talk about like the feeling being the secret, but I understand like the feeling good part, but nobody really talks about like the intuitive feeling. So my question is, how do I know it's my intuition and not just like my emotions?
Well, aren't they the same?
The same thing.
Are they? I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
So intuition is what you use to protect yourself, to make a good decision or a bad decision. Intuition is to help fulfill the story. You ever been behind a car and say, I knew they were going to turn left? Right? That's intuition. That's knowing the future. That's knowing that that's going to happen. You can work on that muscle. Intuition is a negative way, is when you ever do something and go, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Then how does that intuition help? It's keeping you stuck in the old story. But the feeling is being in the present moment and really letting the universe guide you to what the feeling is. What am I hearing? What am I being aware of? What am I becoming aware of? And you can work on those. And you can ask yourself, is that the old story or the new story? And the feeling, as Monique says, is just a part of the secret.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Okay. What other question do you have?
I think that's it.
I just want to add into that last little bit. Ask yourself, what are you being drawn to as well?
Okay.
Does that help, Gina?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
You bet. Yay. And Brittany.
Okay, so I kind of just want to talk about a little bit what Gina just said. And it was interesting. I'm gonna stop using that word, but it intrigued me because she was like, the feeling is a secret, but we don't talk about the intuition. But when you're intuitive and when you're intuitive and you are aware of yourself, that intuition is a feeling. You feel it, your gut, that they call it like a gut feeling. You know what I'm saying? So it is a feeling, it is an emotion, whatever it is. It's intuitive. Oh, this is good for me. It's intuitive. Oh, this is not good for me, right? And though that feeling evokes emotions out of you, so it's all tied into the same thing. Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about was this resistance and
The what?
resistance,
Statistics?
resistance.
Oh, resistance. Okay.
Right. So, like I was saying, I have a friend that says that she says that everything that I say is argumentative. And I kind of have gotten that before. And I think it's more so in part because I don't necessarily agree with everything that everybody has to say. So if I just don't agree with what people have to say, they're just like, I'm being argumentative. But back to this resistance part, because I feel so my whole entire life could have been, not saying that it was hard, but it could have been so much easier if I would have just listened to what people had to tell me. So how do I get past that resistance portion of things?
So ask the question, the resistance that I'm feeling, because the feeling's not going to go away. Are you ready to ask the question, is that me resistance to them or me resistance to me? And what would happen if I chose to no longer resist this conversation, this content? What would I have to change in me? What would I have to adapt in me to receive it and not let it affect me? I think the resistance comes is because many people poured stuff into you that you did follow that didn't serve you well. And so a protective barrier went up that says, you've got to make it through this resistance filter. And if you can, you'll get in. But sometimes sometimes that resistance barrier breaks down. It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever played in the water when it's raining in the mud and you like made there was a puddle and you made like a little place where to flow out of the puddle, and it was a real skinny stream, but as more water flow, it got wider and wider and wider. So there's a resistance that you have that I've made it through in some places to where it's okay. He can get through in those areas. Me personally, he's allowed access there. Other people, and that's good. You've either given me the code or I figure crack the code to get through there, but it's like you're not even going to let other people crack the code to get through any of those particular areas. So there's certain things that you and I can have a conversation on that have served you well and that have allowed me to pour into you, a Rhonda to pour into you, a Bob to pour into you information. It's like, you know what, that makes sense. That's not going to hurt me.
We've had this conversation before, haven't we?
We may have. That's why one of us might be able to repeat it. So the resistance is this could change the old story. And am I going to have to lay myself out on a table to be filleted? And the answer to that is no. You allowing change to happen doesn't mean you ever have to be hurt again.
Ooh, maybe that's it.
Say that again, Sean. Say that again. You allowing hurt.
You allowing information to change you doesn't mean you have to be hurt again.
Ooh.
Right?
Good. It's good.
Because this is very interesting because when it comes to my hair, my nails, I'm so consistent with my look, and I'm like, I don't want to change it. I don't want to change it. What if it's ugly? What if it's this? What if it's that? What if it's this? What if it's that? I don't know. I need to stick to what I know. And I may be or maybe I'm allowing the change or to affect me too much. You hear the echo?
I just, there's a little wind. I just muted Ashley.
Oh. Yeah, maybe I'm allowing the change to hurt me. Maybe the change isn't, maybe the change doesn't hurt me at all, but because, I don't know, maybe I'm making it hurt me when it really doesn't have to hurt me. But I'm saying, oh, this is new. This is too new, and I've never heard it before, so it can't be good because I've never heard it before. So I'm making it hurt me when it
your
really
blanket
doesn't.
is your blanket is over which side of your body? Your left or your right?
All right.
Your right side.
What does that mean?
It means you're covering up the female side of your body.
I'm cold.
Sure.
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
Being vulnerable.
All of this story.
Why do you guys attack me so?
How the hell is that an attack?
Not an attack, you crazy
Wow,
thing.
no wonder we.
Guys, you gotta get through some war terminology. It's not attack.
Some more terminology.
But you see where the mind goes in her ideas.
That's our old story.
You know what? Because this, y'all, like, I was talking to somebody and I bit their head off because the communication. I know, me. And
why you call me a bulldog with lipstick?
She's a Venus flytrap.
Y'all help me.
We are. Why y'all attacking me? We are. We're still showing up when you're slinging the arrows. We love you.
That's true. That's true. And they, because when things are unknown, right? So the communication was very vague, and I automatically went to a negative thing. And they responded. They was like, I don't think like that. So I can't understand why you think like that. But it's very naive of me to believe that all people think like me. And so I was like, dang, why do I always go to the negatives? That's weird. You shouldn't have to do that. Don't do that. And now, even I'm a little bit better now. But remember when I was talking about my cousin who ripped me a whole new butthole? And I used to be afraid of him. I used to never want to talk to him because he was so blunt. He was so abrasive. He was so just concise and straight to the point. And I was just like, no, you're mean, right? But now I call him all the time because I'm like, what? It's like he's me to he is me to other people. Does that make sense? Because so now I'm calling him all the time. I'm like, give it to me, because I need it. I need the truth. I want to know so that I can figure all of this out. Why do I do that? And I removed the blanket a little bit, but I'm like, Rhonda, I'm getting hot.
Come on, girl. Come on.
I'm getting worked up. I'm just trying to figure this all out.
What would happen if you didn't have to figure it out anymore?
I probably wouldn't have a headache.
So if you didn't have to figure it out and you kept it real simple, what's the choice you have? You have a simple choice in this moment to do what?
Choose joy.
Or?
Misery.
Yeah, which do you want?
Joy.
Does the answer really matter then?
Yes.
Why?
Seeking the answer doesn't feel miserable to me. Not in this instance.
Yeah, but if you're seeking the answer and you don't have it, if you don't have the answer, what do you have to be in?
Does that automatically put me in misery?
If you don't have the answer.
Why does it have to be that way?
Well, because why does the sun rise in the east? Can you make it rise in the west tomorrow for me?
No.
Jim Rohn would say I wouldn't sign up for that class.
I
Why
don't
does
get
it
it.
have to be that way? Because if you are seeking a future moment, what does that take you out of?
The present.
So if you don't know the answer right now, then what are you in?
I don't know. I don't
Now,
know.
can you be in joy? So what would you want the answer to be?
I'm just, it's not making sense to me why I cannot, like, maybe on some other different type of level that I'm not understanding, it'd be misery, but it does not feel like misery to me.
Mm-mm. But you know what it feels like to me? Because I see you in pain.
Am I in pain?
You don't know the answer. Tell me, if you don't know the answer, are you in pain, or are you completely blissful with not knowing the answer?
Pain is very dramatic.
So, do you ever have a cut and didn't realize? Did you ever have a cut and didn't realize that you weren't bleeding?
Yes.
And then you looked at it and it was a simple paper cut and it just agitated you all the time. It was on a part of your finger where you bent it like, oh my God, every time I bend my finger, the smallest little paper cut can take you out of, bring you pain.
Mm.
The smallest little idea can bring you pain, but you're so used to it, you don't even recognize it. Do you see how you don't say like anymore? Why did you change
My
that?
head hurts.
Why did you? Yeah, and you're holding the front of your head. Of course, that's where your thinking is. Why do you choose to no longer say like? And why do you recognize it when everybody, oh my God, is that what I sounded like? Why do you choose not to say the word like?
Do I have to have an answer?
Well, why did you make the choice? You mean to tell me that this strong woman I'm talking to let me make a suggestion? You're like, well, okay, I don't even know why I'm doing it. That's a bunch of BS belief system. Because if you gave me the answer, it's because you said, I wanted to be more of me. I wanted to be more professional. I wanted to be more heard. I wanted to be less like a valley girl. And the answer is going to come back is because I wanted to be better. I wanted people to hear me. I wanted people to hear me for the message I have and not be distracted by something that served nobody. I wanted to be better. It's okay for you to be better, Brittany.
Okay.
She's thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I am.
I see it.
Well, and she's cautioning her words, right? When you touch the chin, it's like
she's thinking of what she wants, what she wants to say.
I don't even know if I have anything to say because while you were talking, Sean, I'm like, okay, I'm lost. I have lost my way.
And welcome to the future possibilities of everything.
The beautiful place to be is lost, Brittany.
And unknown. Be the earthworm for just a moment.
So, am I forcing myself to just know too much? Is that
Okay? Here's the thing. What I'm kind of getting is that you're trying to look for a black and white textbook answer, when really this is about connecting with you and feeling that answer. And the questions that keep coming up for me is, would it be okay for you to be your authentic self? And what would happen if you allowed yourself to be your authentic self?
this is what it all boils down to. Me being my authentic self. But not but I want to be my authentic self without resistance. I don't want my authentic self to be resistant. I don't want my authentic self to be
Change this word resistance, because what I'm getting the feeling here is it's deep rooted in fear.
Mm.
And I keep hearing like these kind of negative words like feeling attacked, and that is basically you've kind of glossed over a part of you. You've put this like mask on, or this front, or this behavior on, you've lived it for so long, that's become what you think is your reality.
Right.
And now with us asking you questions, seeing straight through that, that's a little bit whoa. And that's where the feeling of attack comes from. It's like,
Right.
no, girl, we see you and we want you
Right.
to step out in all of your glory and be you. Because the thing is, the world needs you to turn up as you, as authentically as yourself. Because we don't need like copies and scripts. We need you to be you.
I agree. So when I am showing up as myself, when I when I show up to other, okay, so when I come here, I show up as myself, but then myself gets revealed. So then when I show myself to the other people, it's my old self. But I need to shed the skin. What am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? I don't know.
Them not
Yeah.
liking
Then what?
them not liking you.
Do I care?
Oh my God.
You do.
Yeah.
Why y'all attacking
You
me?
asked this.
Yeah, I
all the
was going
time.
to ask that question.
Now y'all know.
You didn't care.
Now
You
y'all
wouldn't put this risk
know.
up in
Y'all
the first
know
place.
when multiple people talk to me at one time, I feel attacked.
Attacked.
Y'all,
That's just the
no.
love coming at you.
It's a love attack. A love attack.
But then I also feel like you're afraid of not having all the answers to
But don't
everything.
use the A word. Don't use the A
Oh,
word.
okay, not afraid. You're not afraid of
Concern.
I feel
Concern.
incompetent. Incompetent.
Oh, don't use that one.
no, no,
Resisting.
No.
He's
Yeah.
resisting.
resisting not having all the answers. That's what I get from every question that you asked.
I
because
am such a know-it-all. I really am a know-it-all, and I do want to know it all. So
We have
Stop being
why
scared to
does
step
why
into
do I
the
want to?
unknown.
But
Why do
being
I
okay
want
to
to know it
step
all
into
though?
what you don't know is
So
limitless.
hang on a second, Ashley. Brittany, freeze right where you are. Don't move. No, just stay right where you are. But do you know what the
Okay.
tattoo is on your hand that we're all reading right now?
Love with a heart.
So then why that hand and not the other? Because the whole other time we were talking, when you were doing your investigative reporting on yourself, that hand that had love up was not it. You've been asking us to give you love when you changed the camera.
What?
You have been asking us to read the word love.
No, I heard you.
I know you heard me, but I need to say it again. You have been asking for love this whole time since we started this. Since we just made this transition, you have revealed to us the word love, and you said, listen, all I need is the world to love me, and we're loving you. And you're like, I don't know why everybody's all of a sudden loving me. And your other side of the brain is calling it the attack, right? You know it's not the attack. It's just all these things coming to you. You're not used to people. Why would you have it in a place that it's even hard for you to read it? Why would you make love the word that right now we're seeing?
Are you asking
You
me
did it-
about how I came to get the tattoo?
No, I'm just saying you
Oh.
put it up because that's what your heart is asking. That's what your heart moves the body. Your heart sends more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. And you swapped out your hands and you revealed to us, listen, I'm right now in this safe group. We've got it down from the 90 people that were here before to the 30 people who usually hang out. They're part of this core group. And all I'm asking you is, guys, is if I can ask you questions and you can answer me in love. That's what that's saying. It can't say anything else because that's what's on your hand. Love me. And we are. Some of us are doing it with a velvet hammer. Some of us are doing it. But that's what you're asking for. Your body is showing us exactly what you want. And your brain is going, how the hell did this happen? Because it lost control. You don't know. And your heart's finally going, we're free! We're free! And you're asking for love, and we will pour into you. My mother used to say when she had more than 51% chance of being right, she'd always say, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
I have a question.
Sure.
Brittany, with your tattoo, is that new?
No.
Wow, okay, because I've never noticed that before.
She was never on camera to notice it.
But
Yeah, but these are good
Okay,
friends.
Ralph.
But these are good friends.
right. That's why I was like, whoa. Like, I really, wow. My question is, Sean, would you mention about the placement of the tattoo? I'm trying to figure out how you even decided on where to get that because you can't even see it. Only way that you see it is if you hold it up in a mirror.
Well, I mean, you can turn your hand and do that, but you have, listen, you have got to work to see love. Ooh, let's work on that one first. So if I don't have to work to see love, and if I could just point it out, hey, listen, you love me. You son of a bitch, you better love me. You better love me. And if you don't love me, I'm going to put my other hand up that I can't put the whole thing on there because my mama wouldn't like the words it says. Listen, this is called human dynamics. This is called human predictability. You can't listen. If you didn't like it, you'd go, yeah, I don't even like. You wouldn't. If you didn't like it, you wouldn't be showing it to me. I'm mad now.
It's either love me or leave me alone.
This is so the funny part about the tattoo is that I was living in LA and I was asleep and I had a dream that I had a tattoo that said love on my hand, and I woke up and I went and got a tattoo that said love on my hand. Oh, are we here?
Yeah, we're all here.
Oh.
Yeah,
we're
listening.
just watching you speak.
And I've said this before. I don't know if I said this before on this call or just I talk to a lot of people a lot, that I was under the impression, I tried to trick myself to believe that I tried to trick myself to believe that I hated love, when this whole time, I have been a student of love and on a quest to understand love completely. But I've realized that love is really inexplicable, and I have to be okay with not knowing how it's malleable. Is that the word I'm looking for? Mm-hmm. And it takes on multiple shapes, and I have to be okay with knowing that love is transformative, and that I can't pinpoint it because it doesn't always look the same all the time. But now, when we were talking about resistance and we talk about love, and when I think about my life, I used to resist love a lot. Now I'm wondering, because now everybody knows my story, if that is because of my mother and my grandmother, because I never saw what love, maybe I did, but to the highest degree, I never saw what love looks like in a family sense, in a friendship sense, or in on a romantic level. Let me see what Monique talk about, because she always talk about something. Let me see. What do you mean you're wondering, did we already? No, Monique, that's why I'm still here. I mean,
No, can I please get a witness? We already talked about
Yes,
this.
we've talked about this.
You're not here. Come on now. I thought that day was like the breakthrough.
It was, but the old story's got a bit. The old story was able to put some of the bricks back up. That's okay.
She went back into the roundabout again.
oh my God. Okay. So just don't think about that at all.
No, bring it up.
No, think about it.
You
We need
have
to.
to.
Yeah, you
Didn't
got
we
to.
Do
say?
I?
Didn't we
But do
say
I?
it?
Do I though? Do I have to think about it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
because
think about it, but then you come out of it.
I said to you
Yes, and
that
I'm
day,
out of it.
Brittany, I said to you that day, the day that you had that breakthrough, I said, now you have to pay attention because every day after this is going to be a constant test. And has it not been?
I don't know. I
What do
don't
you mean
know.
you don't know?
I haven't, because I
It
haven't been
sounds like
paying
it
You
has
attention.
know.
been.
I haven't been paying attention. No, like ever since then, up until right now, I've been so free. I've been living, having the time of my life, you know? And I've been loving on people, as Rhonda said, and showing gratitude. I just been feeling real good. But now here I am, and that resistance came out. And I'm like, okay, let me explore this a little bit more. And then Sean talked about my body language. He talked about me covering up my feminine side. He talked about me asking the world to love me, needing people to love me. And I just tied those both those things together. And but now since you said that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I did talk about this before, so now I can move on. Like, okay, it really doesn't exist. It's fake. It's an illusion. It's a distraction. And I can just
Hey,
move
Here's
on.
the thing: if you're repeating, if you're repeating the lesson, you still haven't learnt it,
Right.
and you talk about how love shows up. We get told what it looks like, what we think it looks like, and we don't actually know it until it shows up in our lives and we feel it. And the feeling is the same. Might come from different people, might come from pets, but the feeling's the same. Now, you keep going on about wanting to know the answers, repeating things. It's like, if you get your brain to shut up, if you get that logic to shut up, and you allow yourself to feel, you have the answers already.
So why am I back here again?
Can I say
Because
something?
you learn it again.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Because
I
you
was
need to
gonna.
learn it again. It's not like a straightforward black and white, okay, I've learned it, done, move on. Sometimes the lessons need to be reinforced.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like
I was
support
gonna.
and resistance.
Yeah. I was gonna say. And Sean can correct me if I'm wrong. Or if he disagrees, or anybody. But I was gonna say. You're extremely smart, and you use words that like I don't even know. I had to look them up when I'm texting you sometimes, and so I feel like, and this is something that I'm working on as well. I feel like you're smart to the point to where you overthink things. Like you already know
Absolutely.
everything. You know what pretty much you have to do. You know the answers. It's just you have so much in your mind. Like I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm learning this. I'm learning that. But it's kind of like when Sean says to sit in the moment and to do less to be more. It's kind of like you have to like take it kind of like a step at a time versus just thinking like you're thinking right now, because you know the answers and you just said it. So I just wanted to say that. Hello?
Yep, we hear
No,
you.
yeah.
We
Okay.
hear you. Everybody think we left them.
No, because
Yeah, I'm like
we're
it got
thinking.
mad quiet. I'm like, hold up.
I think it's because we're just thinking. We're thinking.
We just
Well,
sitting,
I'm thinking.
digest,
I
and
don't know if
listen.
everybody else is. I don't know what everybody else is doing, but I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I'm working on it as well, but I just that's just what I'm thinking, because we have a lot of similarities when I hear you speak, and a lot of the things that you say, I take a lot of it, and I'm like, okay, and I can commend you for that because it's perspective, and it's pretty much brave of you to like stick out and want to be vulnerable, because a lot of people, like, I don't know if you realize, but we had like over almost 100 people on this call earlier, and now it's about like 40, I believe, and people barely wanted to comment, let alone say something. So it's kind of like you're doing that. It stands for itself as well. So I mean, you have everything you need, in my opinion, in the now. So you got this. You're more than enough. So there you go.
Thank you for that.
It's the thing about these calls, the people who need to be here turn up and stay. And sometimes it's
Yes.
not thinking about things. Sometimes it's just about sitting there and feeling things, because we could be going through this conversation and someone who's not speaking or typing might be listening in, and it might be triggering points for them and having an impact on them, which then allows them to show up as their authentic selves for other people as well.
Yeah. So you reaching everybody.
That's why we're a community. So we can help one another.
Look at Sean right now.
That's why he gets up every day, because he loves when we all interact, as he says. This is what he wants. He wants us to come out of our comfort zones and get comfortable with everybody else, because everybody's the same.
And you learn so much more from everybody else too.
Because it's a reflection of yourself.
Yeah, it's kind of like with me, the addiction to approval, that really hit hard when Sean said that, and I stopped doing certain things like naturally, like right after that, and I've started to be more in tune with these calls, and it's kind of like that's one of the reasons why. I mean, in the past, I wouldn't have interject or said anything like that, or be like, or said like, maybe can I say something, or can I interject or anything? Because I would have been like more so, hey Sean, can I say something, versus saying how I feel or what I think can help. And so that addiction approval was key for me, and I'm working on that every day, because it's still in there, but I'm making progress pretty much. So
My tip for you, Brandon, am I saying that right?
Brandon, yes, I think you said it right.
Yep. My tip for you is to speak from your heart. Just speak freely. Those who need to hear it will hear it, and those that don't, they don't matter. Say it anyway.
Yeah. So
that's the thing. If you notice on these calls, we all tend to speak from our heart, from what we're feeling, and the conversation flows.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So do you think I'm not speaking from my heart, like for an example now, or you're just saying that because I'm just trying to really?
Here's the thing: you are speaking from your heart at this present moment because you feel safe to do so in this environment.
Okay.
But going forward out into the wider world, where you might not feel as safe, where you might feel a bit of fear for standing up and speaking, use it for that. Just speak from your heart and just see what happens. Just observe it. Don't take it personally. Those that need to hear it will hear it. Those that don't need to hear it, they'll just gloss over them.
Wow, thank you. That actually means a lot, because it's something with me about the thinking about what people say, and I'm getting over that, but it's still there a little bit. And so, just to speak from the heart, how could you think about that? It's your heart. I mean, it's how you feel. And so, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, bear in mind that people will only hear you from their perspective at that present point. And whatever they come out with, respond to that is nothing personal. It's kind of, if you kind of step away from that, taking things personally and realizing it's they're learning from their perspective, they see it from their perspective, and just kind of like bounce off it, if that makes sense.
Most definitely. It definitely, I know exactly, because I talked about it in the past on these calls about the different experiences that have gone on at work and even at home, and how people respond to certain things. But when you choose joy, how can you necessarily look at it from any way but joy? And so that's one of the things that it's like more so not what would Sean say, but when he says like, do you choose joy or misery, is like what I get. And so like, okay, I can do this. And so, and a lot of times I just won't respond. I'll take a deep breath and I'll just process it, and then I'll say something, which is helping me a lot, because I've always been the type of person to respond versus thinking about it, letting it process and allowing it to be more organic and more real versus, yeah. And so that's pretty much where what I was dealing with. And so that's one of the things that this call has done for me. It's benefited me. And so I'm able to right now, it's funny because I've always been the type of person to speak to my mother, and my mom would confide me and ask me questions and stuff like that. But this time it's totally different, because I'll get questions from her every day about stuff that she already knows, but she knows that I'm going to help her to refresh it, to remember, like to let her know that she knows, and just to give her another perspective. And so it's allowed me to really, really see the leadership side of me and the different things that I have inside of me that I didn't even realize. I mean, I thought it, but I never realized it. And so it's all because of all of you. And so, yeah, thank you.
So maybe there's a question we could ask. We always, end up seeing WWSD, what would Sean do? Maybe the question we should ask when we're out and about and not on these calls is not so much what does Sean do, but what does Sean provide? Because if you sit and listen, Monique said it just a second in the messages, and Stacy and Brandon are a beautiful example of it. Sean's provided a place for us to land and have a safe place to love one another and to sit in joy. And if we're not sitting in joy, to learn how to choose to sit in joy. So maybe it's WWSP. What would Sean provide? Because we can't do Sean, but we can provide a safe, love-filled, joy-filled environment for someone knitting across the pond to speak love into someone up on the Northeast, and both receive it and send it back and forth. Imagine all the fish that are happy right now with all this love flowing across the pond. So maybe it's, what can we provide after we see a beautiful example of the man in the red shirt sitting back just grinning and smiling and staying quiet? So that's a whole nother nugget. And you guys are flourishing in it. And I'm sitting here cooking breakfast, just like hovering over my kitchen floor, listening to y'all love on each other. This is amazing. So what would Sean provide instead of what would Sean do? Just a thought.
And on that note, we're going to wrap it up for today. Know this. Know that each of you are needed in this world. Each of you are a present to this world, a gift to this world. The more you stay in the present. And the more you stay in the present, the more you get to unwrap this gift called now. You've had some huge awakenings today, huge awarenesses against remembrances and reminding. And each of you are on a journey to talk yourself out of the success that might keep you stuck. So, with all that being said, I'm Sean Murphy.
Thank
founder
you.
of the Misfits. Y'all have some fun. Good night, Maggie. I know it's late for you.
It's 12:30 a.m. and I listen to you all.
Love you, Maggie.
Oh, wow. Thanks for staying, Maggie.
No worries.
Good night, Maggie.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Good night, Maggie.
Night.
Good
Sleep
night,
tight.
Maggie. Sweet
Les
dreams.
Brown will be in your dreams, and he'll be
Hey.
there tomorrow.
Love y'all.
Love
you,
y'all.
Sean.
Love you guys.
Love all y'all. Love you, my
Love y'all.
Misfit family.
Love
Everyone
you
have a
guys.
blessed day.